back, ladies and gentlemen. No one said peanut butter. That's why he's so mad. I said it just then. He should calm down. Well, in any case, he has clearly not got over the most recent result for Blank. He has not calmed himself down. He's still shaken. He's still raging.
Are you talking about me?
I'm talking about Winston.
Oh.
But I'm kind of talking about you too,
right.
metaphorically. But, well, Blank, maybe they can harness that very same rage as they now come into their second match of the night and our final match of the night overall as they will seek to play Hong Kong Attitude.
There they are once again, home side, as always.
As always.
Oh, not wait for today.
Nah,
as half the time.
As always, yeah.
As always within this 24-hour period.
Yeah, well, and now here's Hong Kong Attitude as well. Formerly the kind of gatekeeper of fourth place, less so recently. I feel that title now rightfully belongs to Machi, but this is a team that took Blank to a Game 5 back in the day. It's something we talk about a lot with them.
It's a legend of the Game 5.
Even when they're not playing Blank, we talk about that time Hong Kong Attitude took Blank to 5 games.
Back in the ancient era of the round robin
back
one.
in the Jurassic period. so that is actually what they carry into this one. Let's hear the coach's thoughts.
No one else wanted to come up and just.
来，那我们这边先问一下这个 BLK 教练，你刚刚在那边笑那么开心是为什么？
You look pretty happy.
就是当我们在录影的时候，就他们又问我说，我们要不要做一些姿势，然后本来是想不出做什么姿势，所以我就只好做这个姿势了。然后还有就是根本的因为他是选安娜，所以他就做一个那种狙击枪瞄准的姿势。
你有看 Fireball 他们的队员都很多很有创意的动作哎。
是啊，我们的选手都有点害羞，就是在拍的时候就要么就是笑得太大声，或是忍不住笑，就一直重拍。对那个摄影团队真的非常不好意思。
不会，还是希望你们可以好好享受接下来比赛。那赛前还是要喊话一下，来有什么想讲的吗
？You have anything to say before the match？
就当 HK 以前的选手还是从以前香港的帮密一起的时候，我们就有互相认识。
We've known each other since 帮密。
所以今天的话，请多请教。
Which was the previous team that Hong Kong Attitude sort of evolved from.
为什么这么少话？赛前喊话你是没你搞是不是？
You don't have much to say here.
我们会好好加油。
超级官腔，好了，马上把画面交给专业的分析。
And the first comment from Serenity was, he's having a bit of a laugh from the intro video because he's saying when they filmed the intro video, their players didn't really know what to do there. Like, how do we do a pose? Like, what are you doing? So Serenity's like, well, I'll do the neck slice thing. And then Gumba's like, well, I play Anna, so I'll do the Anna like scope thing. And then Troll does the hammer down, so that's what they did.
Right, that's what they went for. I thought there was like they were told like, oh, like do a gesture, because like a lot of the teams do something like, you know, like they've all got a thing, and they're like,
yeah, Zonda pulls a gun out, like a
yeah, just a real gun. he pulls a gun on the director, like, all right, this is gonna be my pose, okay? They're just like, yeah, sure, yeah. So, like, let's. I'm glad that that's what he was talking about, because I was really worried. I was like, what kind of normal sentence involves this?
Yeah,
and
he's like, I thought we're gonna do this to HKA.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He was like, yeah, like a really like heavy threat, but
he did it with a big smile on his face.
Yeah, like we're gonna destroy them. we're gonna cut off their heads, man, like Patrick Bateman or something. That was really terrifying for the moment. But no, they're just talking about the original intro video. There are no mass murderers in this tournament, at least not yet.
Not that we're aware of.
Not that we're aware of.
They're only in-game.
Investigation pending.
They can joke. It's Flash Wolves. Well, he's got they had the guns yesterday in the pictures that they took.
yeah. Flash Wolves had. I don't think they were like real. Like they could fire guns, but they had guns. In any case, let's actually turn our attention now to this upcoming match cup. Yeah, Hong Kong Attitude versus Blank. We kind of touched on before that, 5-game thing is what Hong Kong Attitude come into this with, but they have actually looked a bit weaker since that happened. Has to be said though, so do Blank. What do we expect out of this?
Take me back to last week, and I totally would have said, look, Blank, they're just gonna. What was the
sound
not the
there?
sound. That's not the sound.
That's an ice cream there.
Well. Forget the sound part, but the general message.
It keeps echoing in my mind.
The general message is that Blank, last week I would have said, were just 3-0 Hong Kong Attitude. The last time they met it was a 3-0. Blank were looking pretty good apart from one of their losses, which was, I think, a 5-game series to AHQ. But then now, They've already lost to AHQ again. They've lost to Flash Wolves just now.
Again.
3-0 again.
Again.
And now we're up to Hong Kong Attitude. And
Again.
yeah, for the third time. So
And maybe they're going to go to 5 games again. I mean, that's the thing, right? The second time they actually met Hong Kong Attitude, it wasn't the same, right? It was a whitewash 3-0. And like I said, since that first one going to Game 5, and we talked about that at the time as like it did feel like Blank were making a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes. They are looking a bit weaker now because other teams have figured them out, but they're not actually making those particular mistakes. So really hard to say whether that particular game counts for much, but that is still something that hovers over the head of this matchup.
Well, the thing that should really hover is the most recent performance, which was the 3-0.
Again.
Blank 3-0'd Hong Kong Attitude. And you're right, maybe that does happen tonight for the second time in the row in the third round robin.
Kind of needs to happen.
For Blank's sake, it does, absolutely.
Yeah, for Hong Kong Attitude, you don't want that to happen. Don't get me wrong. Also, to refresh you on Blank's lineup there, just in case you are only just tuning in, and if you are, well, go rewind a little bit and watch the previous match, because that was an exciting one. This one, too, going to be very exciting, and here is HKA, Mango Jai, K4, Jin Kao, Ating, Shai Lin, and CQB.
Hong Kong Attitude, also the team with the second coolest icon.
Yeah, it's just a dragon with sunglasses. Fireball is the best one. It's just a fat guy, but he's on fire. My brain got stuck between guy and dude.
Fat good.
Fat good. I'm glad I said fat guy rather than fat good.
And to also just sharpen everyone's memories on the specific hero picks as well. And really, whatever is the most left on the first hero being seen is, I would say, fairly accurate to what these guys are currently playing. And I said also in Flash Wolves, Blank were essentially, for the most part, playing their number 1 pick for each play, whatever their best hero was. And I think it should reflect here as well when you have a look.
It kind of made their composition a little bit awkward going up against Flash Wolves because
Maybe
it
not
was
here.
maybe not here. You're not likely to see any of those heroes coming up for Trill tonight.
Or maybe you are.
Maybe you are. Who knows?
Maybe.
But they didn't bring it out against Flash Wolves. They kept Kiki back onto the Diva, which, like you said before, is something a lot of people have been wanting for a long time. So composition's pretty rigid right now for
Is that
Blank.
a cape?
It's
Oh,
his
no, wait.
jacket.
I thought it was actually attached at the top as well, and I was like, wow, they've got a Hong Kong Attitude cape. That would have been pretty sick. But
I mean, Blank don't have any of those. Maybe they need capes.
yeah, I'm just gonna, like, by the way, like, I'm gonna give these teams like that branding opportunity for free. Like, put a cape in your merch store. Yeah, you're
First pro team
you're
with
not
a
gonna
cape.
look weird or like that. You know that kid in school who runs like he's in Naruto? He'll buy that cape. It's a very big market.
So something interesting about Hong Kong Attitude is they have a 7th player sub that they still haven't run yet. His name is Randy, and I believe he's a tank player.
It's like the 3rd Shimada brother. We haven't seen him yet, but he's there.
And of course, if you weren't aware yet, Jin Kao and Shaolin are actually brothers. Jin Kao's the older brother in this team, and Shaolin has mostly been said as one of the other fairly, at least up-and-comer
It's my
Tracer
favorite
players.
corn on the CQB.
Yep.
Looks a bit like.
Yep. One of the up-and-coming Tracer players that's really fighting for that top spot, and especially from AHQ's perspective, they really rate Shailin's Tracer, maybe even over their own Tracers in the team. So that's something to consider as well.
Shaolin does get a lot of good results during the matches, but mostly against some of the teams that are either below Hong Kong Attitude right now or against Marchi when that important match does happen. Occasionally gets good results against the top 3 teams, but usually is just outclassed by the other Tracers.
Yeah, and so is Dizzy and so is Cowman, but the point is I think Shaolin just is generally at least on the Cowman Dizzy level, which means, you know, when you consider where Hong Kong Attitude is sitting on the table, they have a Tracer player that's within at least a tier of the top 3
Within
teams, which
striking distance.
Yeah, that's a really important thing to have on your team.
Yeah, the question actually with Hong Kong Attitude is, do the rest of them measure up? And to be frank, I feel like so far they haven't. Well, look, here we go. Straight out the gate, Blank are going to pick Ilios. Just they need an island getaway.
I don't blame them. I don't blame them.
They need some R&R.
Well, they might have to work pretty hard to get that so far.
Yep.
I'm sorry, party pooping on your map joke there, but
How dare you?
I'm sorry.
Get off this couch.
So sorry. So speaking of results that Blank need to get tonight, I mean, we said it before, they should be 3-0ing Hong Kong Attitude tonight for the best result possible. The matches also need to look very clean. if you're a Blank fan, you don't want to see Ilios going through 5 stages. You don't want to see Time Bank coming out on any of the other stages either. So
you definitely don't want to see Time Bank coming out on Ilios because then something's gone terribly wrong.
yeah. Well, you don't want to see Time Bank on Assault either because that's where things go even more wrong for Blank.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that is when they're actually able to get to Time Bank. They've had a bit of a hard run of that lately, but in any case, yeah, like, you're completely right. I mean, you don't want to go to a 5th game on Ilios. I mean, heck, you don't even want to go to a 4th one. You want this to be as convincing a shutout as possible. You want to send a message that, like, all right, sure, we may be losing to these other 2 teams in the top 3, but I guarantee you they're the only ones we're losing to. You want to have Machi shaking in their boots. You want to say no one else is making top 3. You guys enjoy the cheap seats.
I think specifically for Ilios, I'm expecting Blank to pull out triple DPS again. Ilios is that kind of map, and also eat you up on Ruins for Widowmaker is a near guaranteed pick as well. So these are 2 things that are likely to come out of Blank.
The question is, against Hong Kong Attitude specifically, when we go to Well, are we going to see the Farah come out for Blank? Because they've been showing they're not too happy with running out so far, at least in the latest few matches, but there haven't been fantastic maps for bringing it out. So Farah, will it fit into the composition on Well?
Yeah, I think there's a real possibility for that. They have run it previously. There's even an argument to bring it on Lighthouse. I think this is where Blank sort of may get more into a comfort zone.
Potentially, but it is Ruins straight off the bat, and well, you called it, it happened, eat you up, onto Widowmaker. Not quite triple DPS for this one, but... Oh.
At least this will be a good chance for Blank to sort of perfect their 2-2-2 composition.
And also kill Mango Jai.
They're definitely doing that.
Atar's feeling good on this Tracer. He's taking out his counterpart, and now Eat You Up has the space to play. They're going to be able to cap this point. This is exactly what we're expecting out of Blank.
And you know, the other thing is, it didn't even look like, at least from this perspective, that Eat Up really... He obviously didn't get a kill in any of those. He might have assisted with a bit of damage, but realistically, that was just Atar and a bit of Trill Kiki in there to mix it up.
Just to mix it up, just to keep it fresh, keep it interesting. In any case, the fact that they're able to do that while EU is actually kind of struggling to get picks is pretty key. Picking out K4 again now, and they're already looking pretty solid actually coming through onto this. Kiki forced out of the mech, but Hong Kong Attitude don't really have much to go on here anyway. It's just kind of Shaolin getting a bit of harass.
And Eat Up's about to get the... He's going to hit in for side at any moment. Probably going to want to time that when you're expecting Hong Kong Attitude attacking. It's going to give Atar specifically a really good chance to get a solid pulse bomb down. Here we go.
He's looking for the angle, looking to get on top of this Winston. Can't really find that. Going to have to back away from this one now. Wants to commit as the sound barrier comes out from RQT. It's already them getting straight on top of CQB. Mango Jai does not save him in time with the Tranquility. Very unfortunate. Hong Kong Attitude have kind of gone right in behind Blank, but Blank have kind of... I mean, they're diving. Like, they're already past this point anyway. K4 gets nothing as he starts up that tactical visor. EU Up getting pressured out, but he should not be the priority target, and he doesn't even go down. Blank looking very, very good so far.
It's pretty tragic from Hong Kong Attitude. First, you lost CQB without saving him in Transcendence. You also committed onto EU Up without securing the kill, and this is a bit of a washout.
And then you forgot to buy toilet paper.
And that ruins it.
Yeah.
Especially on an island paradise like this, where
you have to wait for the next shipment from the mainland.
Exactly.
And you've already pooed your pants. You just have to live with the embarrassment now if you're Hong Kong Attitude.
Second Infra Site now going to come into play. Really important as we're going to get into the desperation mode.
I don't actually think the first one came out.
No, it did because you had to charge this one back up.
Oh, well, hey, there you go. Presumably you're right.
The math works out.
Yeah, the math. Yeah, you did the math. But in any case, continuing to do the math is Eat You Up. He's got that Pythagorean angles. Actually gets Shaolin after the game is ended, just to add insult to injury.
That's the easiest time there, because that's when the game goes into slow motion.
Because he couldn't run away fast enough.
The game goes into slow motion, you're like, just click the guy's head. And...
Yeah. It's actually when it's kind of easier. If the whole game was in slow motion, Widow meta.
This is good for Blank, because I think they need
a morale boost.
Well, seriously though, because a match like this is required to sort of just alleviate sort of the drop down in morale from the previous match, and also put Blank up onto a space where raises their confidence a little bit and just says, hey, look, we're still a team that's good, because we're 100-0ing Hong Kong Attitude, and we're still easily good enough to maintain at least a top 3 position, which is still important, at least to make the playoffs.
Yeah, like I said, Island Getaway, R&R.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Yeah.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I don't know.
No, I'm
was-
sorry, explain this.
No, sorry,
Explain
you were
this.
the one that said it. Never mind. Anyway, this
Wow,
has been. So you said.
Are we
earlier,
just
Mike,
interchangeable? Like, that's
I
not the
don't-
first time you've
I'm
misattributed a
moving on
quote
from
here.
it. I'm moving on from this.
You're
because
trying to
Hong
get
Kong
away
attitude-
from your glaring
because Hong Kong
mistake.
attitude, so far, they dropped that pretty convincingly to Blake. And you're saying before, is this a chance for Hong Kong attitude to catch up? I don't know. What's it looking like currently?
Well, it was a chance.
And I also think I said it.
I'm
maybe-
really moving on from that.
Maybe you did, but it was a chance for Hong Kong Attitude to catch up. I mean, okay, we're only 1 stage deep, okay, so it's not the end of the world right now. But with the performance,
That was convincing.
with a performance like that, it's very hard to say that Hong Kong Attitude are going to come back from this. I'm calling it. It's just going to be a 3-0 on Ilios, and I don't expect different results on the other maps right now.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair to
All
say.
right, thank you very much, Mike.
Yeah.
That's all.
And
we
that's
need
something
from-
that actually he said. Like, there we go. We can correctly attribute that one. Thank you very much, Spice.
You're welcome.
Yeah, wow. Always nice to get a quick moment of your thoughts there. Coming on
I
into the
am
well.
still interested in seeing. I get that Blank wanna. This is good. Like Blank get to practice their 2-2-2, specifically Trill and the Winston, but I do miss their triple DPS. It's kind of what this team was so well known for, and for them to sort of give that up is a bit of a shame.
Well known. Nope. Okay. Never mind. Well, in any
I
case,
just didn't want to acknowledge
this
it.
is. Well, I appreciate that. In any case, going back to what they were playing against Flash Rules, this has got to be the one that's actually maybe got them more nervous, if anything, because this is what failed so consistently. And if Trill dies here, they're going to be getting them PTSD flashbacks. Not quite happening just yet. ATAR does get picked off, and they're really trying to train down these healers, but it's not really working. Hong Kong Attitude are actually putting the pressure on. Finally going to be forced to back up a little, but they're already ceding a little bit of ground. They're holding on to the point, and Blank are actually the ones who kind of have to give this one up.
Yeah, it's fortunately for Hong Kong Attitude and unfortunately for Blank, it is going to be the first cap over. And Hong Kong Attitude, based on what we saw in Ruins, they're going to need a little bit of a leg up to really contest Blank. I think Blank will not waste any time to just get straight back into this though.
Yeah, they are really committing hard onto this one. Pressuring on Shaolin, trying to stop the anti-Blank from coming in. Trill continues to get really, really low in these. Oh, wow.
Kiki suicided?
He did, and also Shaolin just got a double kill with a pulse bomb. So never mind, that fight's over, and Blank lost it.
Well, this is the thing with
Ouch.
Shaolin. He is a little bit of an X factor for Hong Kong Attitude. I think most people are focused on K4 because K4 is very similar to Zonda in terms of picks. Like he's specifically a good Genji. He's specifically a good soldier with a McCree in the pocket, just like Zonda, right? And you need a Bacon Jack on your team if you're trying to emulate that a little bit. And Shaolin is the Bacon Jack of the team.
Yeah, it's actually, that's my political philosophy, a Bacon Jack for every family. In any case, here's going to be ATAR trying to open it up on the back line. He's kind of struggled to get a lot of results out of these Dragon Blades previously. He only gets one before going down, and even then, Ilios actually got the kill credit. So there you have it, folks. Already Blank looking a little bit worse for wear in this fight. They have some good trade backs, though, as Ilios is continuing the pressure, and Kiki got a crucial double kill with that mech. And actually closing off another one on K4 as well, so they will be able to get this fight, but that was not a convincing start for them.
And so it was a little bit shakier, and even more so with the fact that Hong Kong Attitude are decently ahead in terms of progress. What Hong Kong Attitude are not ahead in at all is the actual tempo of the fight, which is all in Blank's hands. They got ultimates now. Defensively, they can hold on. They can charge the attacking ultimates as well. Hong Kong Attitude, they got to spend a couple of fights to try and find an opening. A good pick is what's going to get them in there. Force out the Transcendence and maybe look for a second fight.
Well, Hong Kong Attitude are on this point. It's going to be on Blank to kind of wheel back and start attacking it, which isn't ideal when you're meant to be the defender.
Transcendence.
Oh, that's Transcendence, but it doesn't save ATAR. That is really bad start for them, and he's kind of forced to wheel around to try and catch all these people. They do trade back onto Mango Jai, but moves Gunma straight afterwards. They're just not getting enough mileage out of this one, and Hong Kong Attitude actually got the cap in that one. What an oddly dropped defense by Blank.
It was really strange, and I think, you know, I said for Hong Kong Attitude, game plan was force Transcendence. They did that kind of flawlessly, or Gumbo just let it go. I'm not too sure. I think Gumbo definitely trigger happy on the Transcendence there and put Hong Kong Attitude ahead because Hong Kong Attitude just had to wait it out, recommit with their players, come out ahead, get the cap. So looking good here.
Yeah, no one was really low except for ATAR, and the Transcendence didn't save him, but looking a little bit better this time around with the sound barrier, keeping everyone tucked in and tidy.
What jump was
ATAR
that?
is really, really low here actually, and Eat You Up gets completely destroyed. K4 opens up with the Dragon Blade, and man, where have those been from ATAR? Because Hong Kong Attitude are in the driver's seat here. Off the back of that one, there's a few members still here from Blank trying to contest this, keep this alive, but Hong Kong Attitude stalling it out. Can get other people onto this point if they so choose. And they actually kind of may want to here. Blank going to get their own people. Oh, wow. That was technically Trill bouncing him in, but it did kind of look like he walked in. In any case, that actually gives Blank a bit of a numbers advantage here. Pulsarm does go wide for Eat You Up, but he's pressuring out Mango Jai, may be able to kill him. At the very least, they're keeping the pressure on the point, and that's all they need. Nearly actually have a cap through, and they do just barely get it off the back of an ATAR from Ultimate.
And that was...
I'm just going to leave that as that.
Yeah, struggle. ATAR going to get himself cleaned up afterwards as well. So Blank, look, they only have 3 members alive. I expect Hong Kong Attitude to really contest this cap, put it back into their favor. They also got ultimates. Here comes the Pulsum, won't hit anything, so a little bit of a waste.
Yeah, little bit, but not too big a waste. At the very least, Blank have been able to regroup, as have Hong Kong Attitude. Arguably, it's an even playing field.
It is, except Blank, it'll be more even when Blank hit the overtime here on 99. I think that's when they'll feel a lot more comfortable.
This is their opportunity to go in with that sound barrier running to give themselves some mileage. Ting is forced to ult though, as is Gunba, mind you, so that is a somewhat even trade. There's Akati with the sound barrier now, gives Blank that extra bit of mileage, and they are looking in better shape. That was all they really needed to clean it up. At the end of the day, they just had a few more resources than Hong Kong Attitude, and I think committed them at the right times as well. That was very well fought by Blank.
And the timing, I think, is really where the highlight of that attack was. 85% now, so this is the stage where Blank is definitely back in control. Again, maybe not in terms of progress, but the tempo of the fight. Who's got control of the engagements, the initiation? It is going to be in Blank's favor here, just.
Certainly. At the very least, they've got those kind of ground creation tools with that self-destruct. Haven't committed it just yet and have absorbed Jin Kao's. Oh, picking out a Ting is a very nice start for them. ATAR doesn't really find anything with the Dragon Blade. Unfortunately, goes down as well. Oh, Gonba needs to be careful to not die here because that can actually start to swing it in favor of Hong Kong Attitude, but never mind. Eat You Up is going to make sure there is no such window of opportunity, and Kiki has still got the self-destruct in case they really need to force this one out, force HKA away from the point. We're going to get Jin Kao out of the smack. There we go, at long last. Next is going to be a nice staggered death for Blank in their favor. Hong Kong Attitude trying to get back onto this with the Dragon Visor.
Last-ditch effort.
The Dragon Visor. The Nano Blade, but he has to step away from the point.
And the Dragon Visor would have been better.
Dragon Visor, yeah. You need that ultimate combo.
If possible, a Dragon Visor
a Nano Dragon Visor would be so great. It
self-destructing Dragon Visor, where you shoot the swords and the swords self-destruct.
The swords, yeah, they explode.
That's the best.
That would be nuts. The Transcendence Barrier. Like, what if you did it with defensive ultimates as well? You know, like these supports, like the res barrier. It reses your team and gives them a huge shield.
No, it actually works the other way around. You kill them, but then it instantly reses them. So it really, realistically does nothing. You've achieved
the res visor.
Very little with that.
The res visor for Ana. Like everyone she shoots comes back to life
on the enemy team. Well, Blank look like they come back to life a little bit.
If you shoot the enemy team, they come back to life. But if you shoot your friendly team, they also come back to life. So you got to have good aim.
And also, speaking of good aim, let's see, because we are seeing ATAR on the Farragon, we did question whether this was going to come out. Does in fact come out. Usually Trill will be on the Genji here to support, but going to stick to their guns, 2, 2, and 2.
Yeah, and running the Pocket Mercy as well, I do very much like this. I mean, if for no other reason than he can jump onto Trill to keep him alive when he gets focused, and now actually jumping over to Kiki to keep him alive. But they're using this very well here, Blank, keeping the aerial superiority to force Hong Kong Attitude's positioning. They aren't able to get anywhere near this point really to contest it. And Blank
early
get a pretty easy cap despite not getting any kills. That's just full pressure.
It is. I think Hong Kong Attitude got scared there, easily intimidated. They just said, ooh, Vera,
He's not even using the undead skin. It's not even that spooky.
And K4's even running a soldier, so they have the options. It's not like they can't contest ATAR at all.
Yeah, well, and actually picking You Up could just be part of the window they need, but Gunba's close to a res, so even if they commit to this fight evenly, actually he's not going to get it in time to bring back Eat You Up.
You can fly,
and now actually trending down Trill, so never mind that. They've got a numbers advantage and they're going to leverage that onto the point. Now Blank are the ones who actually have to go running, and Gunba is kind of too low. ATAR gets picked out of the sky. He can't really be raised either because he was off to the side as well, so Gunba, they're committing to this one, and they've got a pick onto a Ting, but that's really all as K4 opens up the sound barrier. Sorry, sound barrier, the visor rather. And yeah, the first one to die was Gunba, so no res going to come through for Blank, and Hong Kong Attitude through more than they needed to at a fight they'd already lost.
Oh, it's a good recap from from Hong Kong Attitude. And I think one of the big things you mentioned is because Atar died on the side, Gumba would have really have liked to res Atar there, but kind of unfortunate. But the fact that Hong Kong Attitude successfully targeted Atar out, seeing that he's one of the main issues from the Blank side for this match, that was good target selection from Hong Kong Attitude, a good pressure as well.
Blank do have the ultimates to win this fight if they commit correctly, which we would expect them to be sure. You know, it's going to be this
one
completely absorbed and then put to sleep. And then he's out of toilet paper. So here we go.
That wasn't enough.
Yeah. And then dies to the self-destruct. Blank have got a couple of kills in their favor though, in the res to come out. Tempo res, very well played there. Kiki going to be able to get back into the smack, and they do look very much in command of this fight. Having already cut the point now, they're just kind of gaining some extra ultimate charge for themselves. Very nicely executed by
because
Blank.
Hong Kong Attitude is still staying in this fight for some reason. Maybe it's because they actually can't physically get themselves down. They're also Blank are doing a great job of chasing down the final kills, and look, I expect Eat Up to even chase this one down if he can.
Yeah, at the very least, he's going to harass Xiaolin into oblivion and then regroup with his team, having charged up a ton of ultimate for himself.
And Blank, that was also the res from Gumba that he's been looking for a while now, trying to get specifically Atar up back into these fights, and you know, it's really good. It's really playing into Blank's game plan overall, and also the strength of their composition.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have anything to add to that. Just, yeah. Well, in any case, now Blank, they're still at the ultimate advantage. Trill going to go early on his, and Akuti gets picked off. That's a little unfortunate. Sound barrier to come out for Hong Kong Attitude to try and give them more mileage, but they do lose Xiaolin. It's one of the few ultimates they really had some leverage. Yeah, and this has been well absorbed by Blank. No res available here, so the cap could well come through, but Blank, they're keeping on the pressure. Edob is kind of wanting to keep this one in the team's favor. K4 throws out the ultimate and has to go into full retreat as he does so. So despite a decent start for Hong Kong Attitude, actually Blank turning it around just with sheer force of frags, looking to secure this one. Not the most convincing 3-0, but a 3-0 nonetheless.
I don't even know if it was really a good start from Hong Kong Attitude, just because look, Blank of the early cap out, and they got it. They didn't kill anyone. They just.
Oh, I mean, good start in that one fight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy because Blank just sat there, and Hong Kong Attitude just said, "Well, we'll just stay back." It's really bizarre. It's really. It says a lot about a team when. It almost looks like you've over-respected them. Like you've over-respected them so much to the point where they're sitting there and you just don't even want to go.
Yeah. Like in overtime as well, they're like, "Ooh, maybe we should think about this." Like,
and it was a real sort of
reconsider this.
Bit of a disaster for K4 at the end there as well, because he knew he had to get the tag visor out at some point. It was going to go into overtime. He was one of the few players left that had enough impact, specifically through resource, to maybe swing it back, use the tag visor, and
couldn't do it safely.
Got to run away. Yeah. He shouldn't have ran, because like at that stage he was probably going to die anyway. Him running away, he's not going to get another chance to attack because it's an overtime. I mean, what is he going to do? Go back to base? Like, he's going to have to come back regardless. Just make the most use of the tag visor you can.
Yeah, unfortunately, timed it poorly and had to retreat right as he'd started using it. Like, that's the worst possible time, arguably. Maybe he should have done it a bit earlier. Maybe he should have done it a bit later. In any case, he did it at the exact wrong time, and Hong Kong Attitude lost.
Yeah, and apart from a little bit of fight back on Well, it was incredibly one-sided coming out from Blank. Maybe a little bit of contest on Lighthouse, but really not a huge amount either. This is more of the expected result. I got a little bit worried when Well came out straight after I said, oh, it's going to be a 3-0, but Blank came back swinging, and honestly, it was Hong Kong Attitude just didn't have the answers to everything that Blank was bringing. You could see that on all three different maps. Even all the way back on Ruins, Eat Up on Widow wasn't even the main problem, right? But even if they did get through the rest of Blank, right, they'd still, and they came into like even terms, even grounds for a fight. Suddenly they've got to deal with Eat Up, and they didn't even have anyone ready to deal with that, right? They didn't have, the only people they had for vertical mobility, right, was their tanks. So you send at least one person up there, one of your tanks is already gone on the ground.
Yeah, I think on Ruin specifically, the fact that Eat Up was on Widow and didn't have a huge amount of impact, but Blank was just so good. It's not like he didn't have a huge amount of impact.
He didn't need to.
He underperformed. It's because the other 5 members of Blank did so well that Eat Up was like, can someone save some kills for me? Because it's getting boring back here.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, the time he had the most success was in that slow-mo after the game ends, and he got a triple kill. He actually did. When the cap for the point came through, he got a triple kill. So yeah, interesting to note there actually, and with any luck we'll be able to see the picks as well, right? So Blank actually played something different on each map.
And
I mean, they were expected, but it was different, and they executed each one adequately.
That is something you can do on Ilios as well, because both Well and Lighthouse can be played with or without a fire composition to pretty good effect, and we saw Blank actually do that. They ran pretty much a standard dive on Well, and that worked pretty well. And then on Lighthouse, I'm sorry, it was the word I was going to use anyway.
I realized that like you knew that you'd kind of backed yourself into a word corner there.
So I had to do it. So sorry to all the viewers, but then on Lighthouse, that was where they can just let the fire reign supreme. And even with a soldier, like you said, they just weren't able to deal with it. He was contested pretty often, but I feel like maybe most of the attention was actually shifted towards the sky, because you could even see D.Va flying up into the sky as well to go and deal with it.
Yep, that happened a couple times, but I think specifically K4 spent a long time really shooting at Ato. He was the person designated to, at a very minimum, pressure out Ato so that Ato wasn't just safe throughout the entire game, right? It was to pressure him to say that Ato, you can't just fly where you want, you can't take the position that you want because you will eat shots. And those shots will connect. And a couple of times, a decent number of times, K4 did come out on top of that, regardless of Gumba's healing.
Pretty much, yeah. And it's interesting, actually, that K4 was on that kind of duty, because on the very first cap through for Blank, they didn't get any kills, just the Pharah did have free reign over the skies and pressured them out, because Hong Kong Attitude couldn't set themselves up with where the pressure was coming from Blank, and I touched on it during the game as well, which is why they immediately went, all right, look, we need to deal with that Pharah. We can't let her have free reign even if we're not killing her. So that was actually a good adaptation they made. I will give them credit where credit's due. But unfortunately, that wasn't enough. They weren't then killing ATAR frequently enough, and they also weren't actually making use of a lot of the space they created for themselves by forcing ATAR into basically not being everywhere. He was still able to go in plenty of places, right? But he couldn't just go anywhere.
Yeah.
It also felt like every time, at least on Lighthouse, K4 was using Tactical Visor, he was in a bit of a weird spot. I mean, even on the overtime where he's running away, but also even literally play of the game. He'd been knocked out of the point itself and was running around the steps, and it just happened to be that RQT was flying out past him. He was like, oh yeah, cool, I'll pick that up, and then ran back into the building.
Yeah.
And so if
you actually watched his gun while it was happening, because it does the aiming automatically, he was running in a direction. He wasn't looking for people. The gun was going like doing it all for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what Tactical Visor's for, right?
Here's the thing is, I feel like Hong Kong Attitude got locked compositionally because they felt like they had to run the soldier to deal with 8 on the Pharah.
Yeah.
But realistically, if Hong Kong Attitude had it their way, they would have ran Genji on K4, because I'll be honest, Lighthouse is not a friendly map for Soldier. There are not very many friendly maps on Ilios for Soldier. In fact, there are not many friendly maps on Control in general.
Yeah, Control as a whole is not Soldier friendly. For Soldier.
Yeah. But which is why it was so impressive that Zonda did so well with Flash Walls against Blank on the pole, because they really made it work. Now, when you saw K4, it just wasn't working. Tac Visor was going off. Not in a good way. It was going off in the sense it just wasn't hitting anything. And when you want to take a fight on the point specifically, it's so narrow, all the walls, there's a lot of places to hide, it's just difficult.
Yeah, all right, so gentlemen, I want you guys to close your eyes and visualize here your Hong Kong Attitude. You've seen Blank lose, and you've just taken a loss yourself now on Ilios, which you weren't even expecting in the first place. What do you pick on Hybrid?
Well, look, I don't need to close my eyes because I would lose against Blank no matter what.
It's actually King's Row. Doesn't it?
If I had closed my eyes...
Spent too long setting it up, yeah. If you had to close your eyes, then you would have guessed. I would have known and you wouldn't have, and I would have just lorded that knowledge over you.
Yeah, I think...
Oh, well.
I think King's Row is probably the most correct idea right now.
Yeah.
I feel like the hybrid map doesn't matter too much. You could probably go to most places. At this point, maybe even Numbani. Maybe not for Hong Kong Attitude, but...
There is no hybrid map that is favored for Hong Kong Attitude against Blank, unfortunately.
No. I don't think there's any map anywhere that's favored for Hong Kong Attitude against Blank, except for maybe something on Assault, but even then, hard ask.
Yeah, it is.
And that is even with respect to Blank's recent losses.
Yes, so it is just going to be a super hard ask. I think King's Row is just the most standard pick. It's also what Blank have most recently been losing on. It's a safe pick that everyone sort of just plays and knows. You're not going to be underprepared for King's Row because you just play it.
And there's some way you can put K4 on Soldier.
It does.
Yeah, true, it is.
It does, yeah. In regards to the Soldier, right, it does also throw maybe a small spanner in the works for Blank, because we talked about how annoying it is for them to fit a Soldier into their composition. And on defense, sure, first point, second point, you can actually run. You want to run a Soldier on defense, right? But you also have the option of running dive as well. So that's fine. Once you get the third point though, Soldier gets pretty good. And also when you're on attack, a lot of teams do swap to that Reinhardt composition as well. So that's another thing that you're asking Blank to do. They say, hey, look, if you get all the way to third checkpoint, are you guys comfortable running a Reinhardt? Are you guys comfortable running that composition?
Like
you don't have to.
do, but
You don't have to, but does Blank have the option to do that?
And certainly to sort of speak to that, actually, the other side of that, Hong Kong Attitude do feel like one of the teams that really can't swap to a Reinhardt. Ting has played it. He's done decently. Initially, I felt he was quite solid, and then I felt every other Reinhardt got a little bit better than him, and then he started to make mistakes, and, well, there you have it. I mean, now a Ting just...
I don't think I think a Ting's been falling off a little bit. Not even just on Reinhardt,
His
but also
have
on
not been smashing.
Also,
unlike Trills.
Also on Winston, he's kind of fallen off. You did see just on Ilios as well. It wasn't super flashy, and that speaks more to Hong Kong Attitude's ability to coordinate a team, because Winston really shines when your team supports the Winston quite well. I mean, Flash Wars, it's anecdotal from them, so I mean, this is just how you really make use of your tanks.
Yeah, basically.
Well, the other question about King's Row as well is, at least on the first point, how you go and deal whoever is stuck up in that window in the bell tower. Usually it's going to be a Soldier. We might see one there for Blank, we might not, but...
It's not a bell tower.
What a bell tower?
What kind of tower?
It's Big Ben.
Is it a clock tower?
Yes.
It's not Big Ben, it's just a clock tower.
The clock tower. My mistake.
It's definitely not Big Ben.
Is it not Big Ben?
No, it's just a clock tower.
Oh. Is that...
Big
no,
Ben?
look at it. Is that
No.
not Big Ben?
No, it's not. Big Ben is attached to the Houses of Parliament.
Well, not in this future it isn't.
Yeah, they just
they
moved Big Ben. Well, look, and they got the Omnic slave labor to do it. So that's how it happened. And
that's how the
then
Omnic
as a
crisis
reward,
started.
they built them King's Row. They were like, sorry about that. Here, have a home. In any case, King's Row is where we are going to be going, and Blank first on the defense. And I like this. I like this a lot.
Yeah, I like Trill. I like seeing Trill back on the Reinhardt. But
Well,
I just like to see the flexibility. I want to know.
And I like that they're playing a Soldier.
I want to know that they can pull it off. I think that's the main thing. I just want to know that it's in their pocket still.
In any case, good pressure out of Hong Kong Attitude, but they're just getting completely destroyed. They're not really able to get through this one, even as K4 is trying to make the dive work. So this is why I like this.
Yeah, they do a great job, similar to what sort of Flash Wolves were doing to them, which is as soon as a Ting dives in, you eliminate the Winston straight away. Shaolin followed after that, and Blank, this is looking like an Iron Wall defense so far.
So far, at least. I mean, that is only so far. And look, Hong Kong Attitude, they're going to go for a second time around, actually not quite able to make it work. Do pick off Trill, gives them a bit of an opening, but they're struggling to really follow it up after that because they're getting low. They're having to retreat every time they duck in.
They need to do something about this because getting Trill down early is an advantage they can use.
Yeah, and then not being able to leverage it is very, very poor.
They're stuck. They're actually stuck. Trill's going to be back now, and that was all for naught.
Shaolin isn't even able to successfully harass on the side here. You'll notice he's not even getting a whole ton of damage in. I mean, even when it's not Kiki blocking it, he's just not getting the good target selection. He's not actually doing enough damage to anyone that really matters. Yeah, they're going to go ahead and really hard commit to this one. Transcendence out from Mango, but all kind of just gets absorbed by one sound barrier. Now they're committing their own, as this Ultimate hasn't really found much for K4. The whole hog is there for each up, but he doesn't really find much himself, and actually Blank are struggling a little bit on this. Now ATAR going to get pressured out the back of this one as well, and Hong Kong Attitude, they kind of force it and make it work for them, and Blank didn't really react the right kind of way, I feel.
I think Hong Kong Attitude really... Obviously, they committed quite hard, but they didn't give that one up. At no stage during that fight did they say, look, we're not going to be able to win this anymore. At all times, they were willing and ready to continue fighting. They still want to continue fighting. They see more kills and they just want to get them.
And I think part of that as well is they went, look, Blank, because of how they died, could actually come in and recontest. Let's go forward. Let's kill Trill. Let's see if we can kill someone else as well. Kill Trill, yeah. My favorite Tarantino film. And used to dance like Uma Thurman. Anyway, it worked for them. It gave them the space they needed to cap. And I do actually like the decision making there.
Hong Kong Attitude, unfortunately, are not going to get super forward positioning to get free car pushed here. They're going to have to immediately fight into the Blank defense one more time with the Dragon.
Yep. Oh, hello. Good by Trill. That's a good pulse bomb. And open says me. K4 pulls out the can opener and slices up some tins.
Give me them beans.
Some beans?
I don't know, that's, you get beans.
Getting fed off beans. Getting sick of your Hong Kong attitude. Well, in any case, look, Hong Kong attitude. Look, they've kept it rolling, and actually, that was a spot where, against Flash Wolves, in the game they lost, Blank did actually have a bit of a moment to hold. They actually did some quite good plays, specifically around that archway. Hong Kong attitude have already broken that in quite convincing fashion.
It was the place where Blank punished a side push. That's a game ago, though. I'm gonna talk about this game, and specifically, when Trill goes down, the front line of Blank starts to fall apart. So that's kind of the pressure point Hong Kong attitude need to apply.
Yeah, I like that. That's a decent Earth Shatter. Not that it knocked a lot of people down, but it's kind of forced the positioning of Hong Kong attitude, and Blank are able to clean up off the back of it. I like how they executed that as well, how they rotated the ultimates. They put the nano boost onto Trill and forced out all of Hong Kong attitude's defensive ultimates before Blank committed to the rest of the fight.
That was a sick play from K4. Yeah, he goes down, but he deflected the fire strike from Trill into ATA, then immediately dashed into it to get a kill. That was actually a really kind of clutch, split-second decision-making kind of mechanics there. It was just really impressive to see.
Yeah, I may lose, but I look good doing it. Well, they haven't lost yet. Actually, they are playing quite well, and they do have a decent run of ultimates here if they want to try and make this fight happen. Might not be enough to get it over the line, especially not if Mango goes down to this pulse bomb. He does avoid it. Ilios doesn't quite find much with that. Now they're going to open up with their Dragon Blade. They find ATA. That's a pretty big one to start it off, and they start to clean up the rest. Gunba going down, and once again, they've picked Trill, and that actually might be enough for them to get it over the line. Assuming they can get Kiki down quick enough, they can get the payload back underway. Can probably get a few more kills out of Blank as they come back into contest, and even then, Blank might not actually choose to come into contest at all.
Even the amount of kills that K4 gets after the Dragon Blade is really impressive here. So after spending only one ultimate, they're going to get a full cap out on that, and it's a very cheap fight for them. It's a fight you're happy to take. Didn't spend very much. You get a lot of progress.
Bargain
get a lot of objective push off that. Absolute bargain. I'll take it any time.
Yeah, and already halfway to his next ultimate as well. And like this, I said they had a decent run of ultimates. Well, now they've got a really solid run of ultimates, especially compared to Blank.
This is why K4 is generally regarded as one of the better Genjis in the tournament. I would definitely put him near Zonda. He's very much a Zonda type of player to me.
Yeah, well, Blank are going to choose to break this one down very early out of them, and does force the Transcendence. But once those defensive ultimates are out of the way, CQB will have his up in a moment, and Hong Kong attitude have a lot to go off with this one. ATA with this Nanovisor combo is really looking to close it out, and actually, yeah, should be able to close it out now with that positioning. Jin Kao out of the mech, and they will be able to make that work, but they don't really have any ultimates to go on for the next fight. Hong Kong attitude smartly held on to everything but the Transcendence.
Yeah, everything that was great about Hong Kong attitude's push on the second cap was not so great about Blank's hold now on the third defense. They get the win, but it was a very expensive one. If Hong Kong attitude is shopping from the bargain bin, Blank are going straight for the luxury goods.
Yeah. I mean, Blank are going to run out of money at this rate. You know, they're going to be short on cash, and actually already the defensive ultimate out from Hong Kong attitude to give K4 the safety net as he dives onto Trill. Finally makes it work. Does use the whole Dragon Blade, but they're pressured Blank back. They're going to get a ton of distance, even as they don't get more kills. Actually picking Gunba at the end is very good. That's going to mean there's not going to be a nano boost in any kind of hurry, and no one's even contesting this payload anyway. They finally have to commit to it, but the Discord Orb is on Kiki. He can't really contest it for long, and Hong Kong attitude look poised to push this one through.
They do. They're getting a decent amount of kills here, and still, as long as K4's in this fight, as long as Shai Lin's still in this fight as well, the two DPSs are absolutely still clean up. They even lose the possibility for Gunba to stall out early kills onto the mace, so that's a cap out.
Yeah, and with a minute 20, actually the time is 1-2-3. You know,
Tracer ragdoll on the end there.
Nice. Well, yeah, color me impressed, and Hong Kong attitude pretty solidly pushed through. I mean, I still expect Blank to kind of do it a bit better. Yeah.
That's the thing, right? Though every time we say a team is pushed all the way to the end of King's
Ooh,
Row,
well
like,
done. Yeah.
what? Oh, that's a respectable
Good.
time. They've still got over a minute to
And
go.
then the other one gets like 5 minutes.
This happens all the time,
Yeah,
though, right?
yeah, exactly.
It's clearly like there's nothing, statistical about it. I mean, it is statistical, I suppose, but there's nothing concrete about this evidence, right? It doesn't guarantee that the team's going to do it.
Yeah,
but
it doesn't mean it's going to
Blank-
happen, but it is still Blank versus Hong Kong Attitude. As much as they just picked up a loss against Flashballs, we do still expect them to cap, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was in a better time, if not a blowout better time.
Yeah. Or they could get first held, though.
Yeah, or they could get first held.
It's really
Exactly,
that.
exactly.
It's kind of there's no middle ground, I feel.
Yeah. I completely agree, right? We're either in the darkest timeline or the brightest timeline. And we're going to find out in a moment. That question will be answered.
It's actually how it feels, though.
Yeah.
It's like I'm trying to joke, but it's even just a half joke because the other half is so accurately true.
Because you're like, man, Blank could actually get first held, and we'd all be sitting here like, oh.
It's not impossible at all.
Man, what if that happens now?
Oh no.
Jeez. Why did we say that out loud?
Because I have to be.
You do
I have to
yeah.
consider all the possibilities when I'm analyzing. It's just I gotta be that guy.
Yep, well, this is the reason I struggle to sleep at night. I lie awake going, what if Blank get first held? my girlfriend's like, when are you coming to bed? I just don't know. I just don't know if they'll cap the point, honey. I've lost so much sleep over that. Anyway.
Oh boy. So this is a kind of just looking at Hong Kong Attitude's lineup. It is triple tank, but minus Hog plus the Zarya, which is going to be interesting.
Yeah, interesting indeed. I do like
And
the
fighting
Zarya.
mostly on the
I
ground.
do like the Zarya in general, just for a little bit of safety, but if they lose a bit of pick potential,
Oh,
but
it's
already
gone.
Jin Kao is dead, so never mind that. Blank, all guns blazing come out as they pick a Ting now, so only one tank remains, it is Shaolin, and he's the only one left to protect K4, who is getting routed out here. May just live, but it's not going to be enough. Blank are established on this point. They lost Trill, but it just didn't matter, and I am finally going to get some sleep.
I think Blank will be quite happy with that as well because it really just reassures. Well, actually, they haven't capped yet. Hong Kong Attitude want to go for one more fight here.
Yeah, they are, but K4's already dead, so never mind.
It's either one more fight or one more feed, and we'll find out. Which
Yeah, just like giving them some beans.
Open me up. Take some beans.
Take some beans.
No, dude. I don't know, man.
It is so late. In any case, maybe I won't get any sleep because oh no, the corridor, it doesn't end. I'm running, but I can't get to the end of it.
It's just Shaolin, they will cap out.
Yeah, and AVRL just kind of turns on the gas at the end of that one to secure it. Trill had the ultimate running as well, so they did have enough to go off, but for a moment it looked a little bit scary, but in the end all that really means is Hong Kong Attitude fed a good number of ultimates. AVRL has a Dragon Blade. I do expect him to go forward to try and look for
Also,
Pixie
the
in
other
next
good
phase.
thing that Hong Kong Attitude successfully achieved there was
Made me
preventing
laugh.
that and preventing Blank from getting a snowball push because Hong Kong Attitude got trades. It's not like they just went in or died. They actually traded members and really prevented, really sent a lot of Blank members back to spawn, which prevents them from getting a snowball push up. So Blank have to push slowly. Hong Kong Attitude do mount a proper defense on the second checkpoint here, getting the high ground, making sure they're in a good position to defend. So this is not going to be a straight roll through, not an easy one at least.
There is that Dragon Blade that I was expecting. It already has 2 for it. So yeah, look, consider the space made. Jin Kao doesn't quite go down just yet, but there is the closeout for it. And Blank, well, we said it was going to be 1 of 2, and well, they haven't been first held. So guys, what do we reckon? 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes?
Oh, well,
Place your bets.
It's already going to be, it's not 5 or 6 because we're about to hit under 4. It's actually not going to be 4.
Well, no, because they're going to get extra time as they cap this point.
Oh yeah, actually you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Well,
funnily enough, I do know how this
Funnily
game
enough,
works.
you know a thing or two about the game.
Just like a few. Oh, Ilios actually goes down there, and unfortunately his pulse bomb goes wide as well, so they're losing that 6-minute territory, may only be pushing the 5-minute now. Good round of ultimates out of Hong Kong Attitude to catch out Blank on this point, and should be able to get a good round of kills for it as well. We'll get a hold, unless Trill goes bananas and commits an ultimate here, which I would not consider to be a good idea.
He went bananas.
Yeah, he went bananas. He went absolutely nuts. Let
At
me
least
hear you
he's
say
flying
this.
out,
It's bananas. B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
Well, he's
No,
gone.
okay, never mind.
The good sort of news is he prevented his death there, so it's the cost there is die with ultimate but keep the ultimate, or use ultimate, guarantee my safety and get out alive. And he chose the latter there. In fact, he kind of chose the maybe use
He could have just left a long time before that though. Like there was a moment where it was only him
so
and
that's
RQT.
the actual correct choice.
Yeah,
but
the correct choice would have been to not get in that situation in the first place and have that ultimate available now for this next fight, where instead you're kind of going in on an even playing field. But you killed Jin Kao, so it was fine anyway.
And a Ting again, he's kind of just caught in the middle.
Yeah.
He doesn't know where
do I point them? What do I do? There's too many angles.
Exactly what it looks like when he plays Reinhardt. He's distorted, he's pointing his shield in a direction that he doesn't even believe is the correct one, but he's just doing it because he doesn't know what else to do yet.
Yeah, I remember.
I don't blame him.
I once played Overwatch with a guy who sounded a little not with it, and we were saying, "Hey, dude, just point your shield to block the enemy," and he was like, "Oh, it's too many angles," and that's what a Ting kind of felt like there, eh? He felt like that Reinhardt player in your team who's like, I guess I'll play Reinhardt, but he doesn't know where to point the shield, man.
All right, Jin Kao goes into Diva, which I kind of like here.
But then a Ting dies, so never mind. And then K4 dies as well, and they have very few ultimates available unless they get a really crazy nano boost, but I don't even know who they'd put it on. And Mango Jai is dead now, and Blank looks set to absolutely blow out Hong Kong Attitude's time. There's going to be some ultimates for Hong Kong Attitude when they come out of the gate. Ideally, they'll use this Nano Visor combo. But Blank have some ultimates of their own. Going to hold on to the sound barrier for a moment as Hong Kong Attitude have already committed theirs. They're going to last through this. Oh, actually didn't quite last through the last moment of that Nano Visor combo. They do get the Transcendence out, but don't have the sound barrier.
Down.
That's a good round of kills out for Hong Kong Attitude. They may actually be able to hold off this one for now.
They got Eat Up. If Eat Up stays alive, they got a chance. If Eat Up dies, they lose all their damage.
And they do have an ultimate out of him as well. He could just kind of one-man army this one, and they're going to push it through the finish line here against Hong Kong Attitude, who just about clean wiped Blank a moment ago. Suddenly, they're all gone. Then they're just kind of trickling onto this to try and contest the payload. It's all just running down the clock now, but I guarantee Blank will have at least a minute up on Hong Kong Attitude at this rate.
Running down the clock is exactly what Hong Kong need right now. They understand they're not going to win this anymore. They understand they're not going to be able to get the full cap out.
But there's that minute. Well, okay, one of them is 1-2-3 and the other is 2-3-1. Wow.
Illuminati confirmed.
What if it was 3-2-1? That would be Illuminati confirmed. This is like Freemasons at best.
I'll tell you what is confirmed is it's not a 4, 5, or 6 minute time for Blank, so
Yeah, you're right.
that's sort of out of the question.
Yeah,
now.
if anyone at home bet on that, then I'm sorry, you have lost your money.
Yeah.
Or tipping.
2 minutes and something. I didn't quite catch the last.
It was 2:31.
2:31.
Yeah.
That's right. 2-3. That's right.
We were just talking about the Illuminati.
We were. You're not even wrong.
Triangles. Pythagoras.
It's
You
a
know,
decent.
I actually had a flatmate who was a member of the Freemasons. And actually, he like was brought on as a member while I was there. It was interesting.
Cool. So when we compare the two.
Let's actually talk about this game, yeah.
When we really want to compare the two times here, Hong Kong Attitude don't have a lot to work with. Blank got a little bit more to work with. Realistically, both teams could probably prevent a first cap. Based on what we've seen so far anyway, it's not out of the question. Hong Kong Attitude did struggle a little bit more, I think. But it's not like Blank got the easiest first cap. They still took some time to get theirs. So.
Yeah, like both did it in fairly convincing fashion. It was roughly on the first push with a little bit of a hiccup, so arguably this favors Blank just because they have more time.
Yeah, it should. The time factor is... It kind of allows... Oh, I mean, that or we're going to see a really tough situation like AHQ versus... I can't even remember who on Route 66 detonator into Time Bank, and it was just like, what is going on here? Could be a repeat
Already
of that.
trying to get around the side here is K4. They've actually pushed Blank into a bit of a tight spot, and they now have to kind of fight out of it. Shield trying to go into full retreat here, struggling for it, goes down. Once again, this should be the opening Hong Kong Attitude need. Last time around, they actually struggled to execute on it, but this time, they seem to have realized that, hey, we can just go ahead and win here. Have already picked RQT, they've forced ATAR well back, and they're looking set to cap this point.
Yeah, they're preventing Blank from even getting positioning here. ATAR's eventually going to have to push in. That's when he's going to push in. That's going to be Hong Kong Attitude capping it out straight away on the first attempt. 30 seconds still left to run the clock. I would actually get aggressive here as far as Hong Kong Attitude. You don't have the ult, but you do have the possibility to build them up quite quickly because you've got a couple members that are really close. So here it is. It's going to be CQB getting the solo push on, and the rest of Hong Kong Attitude should be searching.
This is how you maximize distance in overtime, which is where Hong Kong Attitude are, I guarantee you, about to go. They're going to try and get some extra payload distance before that by putting all 3 on, and then go ahead and move forward, look for some picks. At least that should be what they do. And if they do find them, they can get a good amount of distance out of this.
They also have to dodge ATAR's nanovisor, which I fully expect to come out at any moment.
Killing
now.
ATAR would be a way to do it, but
Oh, yeah,
wow,
well,
there
that's
it
the
is.
way to do it.
That is absolutely phenomenal. And actually kill Gunba as well, just for good measure. There's a sound barrier that Blank could commit,
That'll
but
be
they
a waste.
actually opt not to. They want to back up, and yeah, this is more distance for Hong Kong Attitude. They now have an ultimate of their own. Look at they're going to get a full rack of ultimates to come up.
Because they just got a full 6-man wipe.
This is so many beans.
It's a lot of beans. I can't even. I got a big appetite, but I can't finish that.
Well, and if they're not careful here, Blank are going to be has-beens. No, that's a
Okay,
stretch.
now they
that's a
will
stretch.
use the nanovisor because I said
They
before-
have to.
And it was really awkward because they got ATAR
look at
got
K4.
pressured so much. Here it is. They're going to use everything.
That was a very early ultimate out of RQT. K4 just waits for a quick moment to his own sound barrier to keep him alive. Jinkao throws out his ultimate. They don't need to use too much. They
There we
just need
go.
to use less than Blake. ATAR trying to answer it back, may be able to do it. He's actually kind of uncontested further down in this one, and Hong Kong Attitude can't afford to step with the payload. They want to get this cap. Getting this cap would be really, really significant for them, even though it doesn't actually give them more time. But never mind that. ATAR is keeping the pressure on. The response dive trying to come through for 18 as he forces out the ultimate. Hong Kong Attitude may be able to regroup and get onto this. Oh, but Shaolin going down. No flankers left. And they can't afford to step off the payload, not for too long. Oh, they're really cutting it fine here, trying to halve these beans as K4 really desperately trying to contest, can't get close enough to do it. No one left for Hong Kong Attitude. They nearly get it over onto that final point, but that is still a lot of distance for Blank to make.
It's nearly. What was I going to say here? It's extremely good that they got as far as they did, but if they just managed to get the second cap, that's more than what I would have expected a team in overtime with roughly about a minute to even get. So as far as Hong Kong Attitude go here, this is already a very good distance for them. The second cap would have really made it extremely difficult for Blank to come back, I think.
Took point A, right? They did that about as fast as you really can. So imagine in their defense round, they hold Blank for even about a minute, which is about the extra time that Blank had on top of them. So they do that, and then Blank has about the same amount of time to get the payload about as far, right?
The only thing is that time disappears the moment Blank fail the first push onto the first point. If that happens, then suddenly they're in a way tighter spot.
And this is the other thing Hong Kong Attitude have to prepare for is, much like they did the last time they defended, they have to prevent Blank from getting a snowball push on through. Okay, this is actually a strat. They're all going to go on the top here. Anyway, Hong Kong Attitude have to fully prevent the snowball push because Blank is one of those teams that will take advantage and really dash their way through the second checkpoint. We've seen many a time when Blank just completely skip the streets phase because they get so aggressive, they hold you in your base, they spawn camp you, you can't even defend streets. It's a complete write-off. So Hong Kong Attitude have to make sure that doesn't happen.
If once Blank do kept the first point, yeah, Hong Kong Attitude have to work really hard to make sure they don't fall prey to that, because that could be all that distance they gained in that push just completely disappearing before their eyes.
And I would hope that Hong Kong Attitude have what it takes to survive the first defense as well. It's important for them to secure this first fight win, and that'll shave a lot of time off Blank's timer.
Well, they've already repelled Ilios and ATAR as they tried to take that high ground there, so that's one way to start it off, and actually Blank are just going to have to step back for a moment and take a breather before going in again. Need to be careful to not lose anyone. They finally find someone. It's CQB, not the perfect target, but they'll take it, and they're going to try and leverage this one into a fight with that Discord onto the Winston, trying to train down a Ting. It does work for them. Kiki out of the mech is really all Hong Kong Attitude to manage to get in return. Blank are looking in pretty good spot here as, yeah, a very early sound barrier, but good timing on the use of that, because like you said, for security, it's going to give them a little bit of extra breathing room to secure this one out as they take out Shaolin. Hong Kong Attitude, you can see now they're backed off so that Blank don't get that massive snowball we were just talking about.
Absolutely. Hong Kong Attitude feeding any more players would have meant that Blank just walk on through. Blank may still just do that because they're about to get Dragon Blade. They've got Pulse Bomber already. They're defensible because they've Transcendence. So at a minimum, even if Hong Kong Attitude get aggressive here, they have to play into Transcendence. They then won't be able to necessarily win that fight.
Still
it's a
for it.
difficult place for Hong Kong Attitude to be in. They have to also wait for Take Visor.
The Wild Tracer hunts for his play. Play.
Play?
Well, both actually, Prey and Play. And it's actually going to be the ultimate out of Mango. Oh, that's very unfortunate there. The Pulse Bomb going wide, eat you up, not quite finding the distance they need. ATAR doesn't have the Dragon Blade just yet, finally has it, but that's already been 2 ultimates out of Blank. They're getting the kills though, so this is that snowball we were talking about. The payload is still a long way back, so there's maybe still time for Hong Kong, actually I say maybe definitely still time for Hong Kong Attitude to contest at the last point there. But
yeah, it will be and it won't be the snowball. It will only be a snowball if Blank actually commit many members here. They're actually triple pushing, so much like the choice here is, do you focus the card or do you focus on the hold? And they're going to focus on the card. 3 members at all time, the other 3 going to check forward, and they just want to get the safest play possible. They're not looking for a risky play.
Hong Kong Attitude have more ultimates in the back pocket on this one, and they have the opportunity to go ahead and contest this payload. Attempted dive onto K4 here. He backs up quite safely. Oh, nearly goes down there in a bit of a tight spot, but it is going to be safe. Now they're going to go ahead and commit to the fight. That's the Sam area to keep himself as K4 opens up with the tag visor. No one dead just yet. He hasn't found any targets yet, and now K4 is down. Blank might be able to push this one through. They barely keep Trill alive, and IU up still not down either, as Hong Kong Attitude are not closing out these kills. They are the ones dying, and this is not a short walk for them. It's certainly shorter than it is for Blank, but it might not be short enough. It's not like they respawn right there and then, and Blank are continuing to get the kills, trading down Jin Kao now, and they are looking set to push this one through.
Really sad for Hong Kong Attitude because they had the kills. Well, they didn't have they had the potential to get all the kills right at the end there. You saw all the health. Trill super low, Eat Up super low. That's 2 kills they should have gotten.
Yeah,
That's
couldn't
2
close
kills
it out.
they missed out on. There were also 2 targets that specifically K4 was shooting at with the Nano Visor that he specifically also couldn't secure kills. And so, I mean, Hong Kong Attitude, they had the right resources. They had the right sort of pathway. They just kind of, if they were trained, they just derailed a bit.
Yeah, and well, on the flip side of that, Blank looking like they kind of got back on the horse. Certainly have recovered from the loss in terms of their mentality. They don't look like they're in this sudden dizzying spiral, but it's not super clean. I'm not going to go so far as to say that, but they are winning, and they could well just win here on Assault.
It's not super clean because we went, not only did we go to time bank, but it was neck and neck for card distance, right?
Sure.
It's about as close as it gets.
Sure.
I mean, realistically, with the amount of time that Hong Kong Attitude had, I wouldn't have expected them to get the payload that far. Maybe against one of the other mid-tier teams, but against Blank, no. I wouldn't expect that, right? I'm surprised they were even in time bank in the first place, but with about a minute and a half, and they made it that far, that's really further than Blank should have let them go. So it's showing more signs of weakness for not just Control, not just Assault anymore, but now Hybrid as well for Blank.
Yeah, so here's the thing. When they went...
They lose more Hybrid now than Assault, technically.
Well,
so they lose them. I mean, if they're losing Assault as well, like they lose them both equally. But in any case, that's kind of beside the point, because the thing I want to jump on is when they did go to that Game 5 against Hong Kong Attitude all those years ago. It was like 5 weeks or something, I don't know. It looked a little bit similar to this on the first 2 maps. It was a little bit closer on the Control in that specific matchup, but then of course it was on Assault that Hong Kong Attitude picked up a win, and then on Escort they picked up another win, and suddenly they were on the cusp of a reverse sweep. This would kind of suggest that actually Hong Kong Attitude could maybe take it to them on Escort and Hybrid maps, and they have beaten them on Assault before. There is, I think, still a very real, very distinct possibility that Hong Kong Attitude can pull off a reverse sweep from this position.
They've been here before. They have been here before, and they were 2 down, they got 2 back up, and then they failed to secure the last map. So it's not impossible, but that was also, I think, a little bit too long ago. It's so long ago that, yeah, as much as we talk about it, it's
only
hard
us grizzled old veterans can remember it.
Exactly.
All
it's
you
hard
spry
to,
young things at home, you don't know.
It's hard to be able to. It's hard
like.
to be able to apply that as something that's still relevant.
Yeah, to be honest, yeah. Like, so much has changed since then. That is some small evidence that we have, but I feel like it becomes a little bit more relevant here just because Blank have today had a shaky performance, and this does look a little similar to that particular series against Hong Kong Attitude. But the real test will be what happens on Assault, right? Because if Blank just win Assault, then that evidence just doesn't matter anyway.
Also, what's going to be really telling is which map Blank pick for Assault, right? Because against Flash Wolves, they picked up Volskaya and kind of got destroyed on it. But if they pick Volskaya again against Hong Kong Attitude, that would say that it's a map that they thought they were pretty good on because they're applying it to 2 teams, right? If they pick either Hanamura or Temple of Anubis, it shows they're picking maps against specific teams. Maybe they thought Volskaya was the best pick up against Flash Wolves, and against that wouldn't apply against Hong Kong Attitude picking up one of the other maps. So if they pick Volskaya again, maybe it's the same case. Maybe they do think that's the one that Hong Kong Attitude are technically the worst at, but at the same time, they did just get pretty heavily destroyed on Volskaya, so they've got to go be pretty confident if they pick that map up against Hong Kong Attitude.
I want to see them go to Hanamura because it's the prettiest.
Also because, you know, Hanamura is technically where, in the past, Hong Kong Attitude have come back, but they've already kind of done that. The last time they beat Hong Kong Attitude 3-0, they did it on Hanamura.
Yeah, they had something to prove, and then they proved it. And maybe they do it again. They're like, yeah, no, that really was a one-off. We can do this again and again and again. But who knows? Who honestly knows? In any case, we are going to find out after a brief break. So don't go anywhere. Well, there you have it. Brief break for the noodles, like I always like to say. Or maybe today you opted into some beans on toast. Wouldn't blame you. Always good to have a hearty meal. In any case, we are potentially 1 map away from wrapping off the night, but this is a position Hong Kong Attitude have been in before, and maybe we are staring down the barrel of a reverse sweep. In any case, next map, gentlemen, it's going to be assault. 2 peanuts walk into a bar, 1 is assaulted.
But did they get 2 capped?
I would actually like to see Volskaya again because I want to know that Blank can pull off the strategies that they were trying to go for, which is essentially the same thing AHQ and Flash Wolves are doing as well. Everyone's doing it. It's a new, cool, hip thing.
If all of your friends jumped off a cliff, would you do it?
Well, they do in this game. If you're losing a fight.
So yes, you would. That's actually a very intelligent call. Yeah.
So yeah, I want to see them be able to do that and pull it off properly. So
yeah,
again, it'd be good for Blank's morale and kind of for the fans as well. It's good to just see it's like cool.
Oh yeah,
they can do it.
I really want to compliment the public healthcare system in the Overwatch universe. Like the fact that all of you can jump off a cliff and survive and like be fine. Like the.
Well, look, it's the wonders of modern medicine.
Yeah, and completely free as well.
You just gotta have a mercy on your team.
Yeah.
It's nanomachines. That's what nanotechnology. That's what it always is in the.
Yeah. And the distant future is just nanotech. Like nanotech. Actually, in Star Wars, it's not. They use Bacta, which is an organic.
But in Overwatch, even Reaper, who collects the souls of his dead enemies,
they're actually
and
nanosouls,
shifts into literally a ghost form. It's actually nanotechnology.
Cool. So we're going to be going on Volskaya.
Yeah. Well, hey, woohoo! There we go.
That's kind of what I was trying to get to as well. Which is Blank's pick, which is great. And if they start on defense as well, hey, maybe they can get that first hold that they've been looking for. Like a lot of people have been giving them first holds, and it's been a while since Blank has dished one back out to somebody else.
Yeah. Certainly it hasn't happened since they faced some of these more bottom-of-the-table teams. Not that Matchy are bottom. It's not even Matchy. It's Hong Kong Attitude. It's not Matchy. It's Hong Kong. No one?
No, I don't get it.
You haven't seen the dugongs thing? It's like they're not manatees, they're dugongs.
No, I haven't seen that.
No, I'm so disappointed in you. Look, someone in Twitch chat, find that clip, link it so that everyone can watch it and make this guy feel left
right, you
out.
can't link anything. Anyway.
If all your friends were watching a Nigel Thornbury clip, would you do it? I don't know.
No.
So,
jumping off a cliff,
so
something like that.
That would be good for Blank to be able to come back in that sort of way as well. It's 3-0ing Hong Kong Attitude would secure Blank as a top 3 team. I think they're secured in terms of score anyway, but it's a fear of like, you know, do the middle of the pack teams like Munchie and Hong Kong Attitude have the chance to take down the current 3rd place team Blank, or do they not? And it needs to be pretty safely said that they do not.
Yeah.
And also on the series as a whole, right? King's Row did not go as one-sided for Blank as it should have, right? It was a little bit too close for comfort for everyone involved. So coming into Volskaya, this is where Blank say, all right, look, no more messing around. Not that they were before, but this result is going to be very clear. A first hold would do exactly that for them. And if they're attacking first, you know, just double cap it as soon as you can, right? It's just get as soon as you can.
Just win. Just like just win. Like
just win the game.
Yeah.
But that's what they should be getting today to move into the next few rounds. You know, the last 2 rounds of the round robin, and then into playoffs eventually, just to secure themselves in the top 3 for sure, points wise, but also to show that they're a team that actually still can play against Flash Wolves and AHQ if they're given a little bit more time.
Yeah. No more Mr. Nice Blank. You're quite right. So. I kind of want to jump onto something here. I feel like part of this map pick as well isn't just map prep itself, and all the things we've been talking about with Flash Falls. I also think part of it is avoiding both Hanamura and Temple of Anubis, which were the ones they had a lot of trouble with in terms of dropping them. And this was back when they previously played Hong Kong Attitude. As much as they've then gone back and beaten Hanamura, look, they're being honest with themselves and saying, look, we're having a shakier performance today than we had last time we played Hong Kong Attitude. Let's go somewhere it's not that they know that they can beat them, but they don't feel like there's much risk of losing to them.
Also, it's the fact that I think, and I was saying this about AHQ's performance against both Japanese teams, but it's not the end of the world for them to drop a map here because they're confident they're going to pick up the whole series anyway. So maybe they'll get that one map tarnished against their name, but for the sake of comparison and I guess experimentation, specifically now looking at Blank and Volskaya, if they lose this, then they understand where they're currently sitting on Volskaya and it's not looking good. Then they can just say, okay, well, maybe we need a lot more work here. If they win this, then they know they've got it. They can actually execute what they're trying to do here. So for Blank, it's about making sure that they are sort of, I'm getting really distracted myself, that they are, that they know exactly where they stand on Volskaya. You guys have
I've never
always
seen that
done that?
before.
What is that? Has it always done that?
I've never seen that in my life.
This is back to normal.
I have never seen that in my life. Where?
The reason we were distracted by that, like, we can see that a few seconds in advance, by the way. Oh, there, that was a joy. Robot doing the robot. Wow.
I just lost my train of thought so quickly.
Completely derailed.
I was like,
Anything good we had
What do
to
I
say
say
about
now,
that? Well, Gunbear is playing Sombra. That's what I'm going
I
to
was
start
going to end my sentence with, well, Blank need to find out if they can do dance moves like that.
Yeah. Can they dance around this point?
This will protect us.
I had a good dance-related pun earlier tonight, and I didn't get a chance to use it, but now I can't remember what it was.
That's always a tragic.
Yeah. Tragedy of the common pun man.
Speaking of, just trying to find out where Hong Kong Attitude, they are going to push on the right side flank. Pretty standard, a lot of teams are going to do this. Getting early picks, so that is not standard.
I was going to say,
For
yeah,
Hong
eat
Kong
you up
Attitude.
in behind them. And we actually had a good position to really harass them out, but no such luck as they just kind of destroyed Trill where he stood. And Gunbear is just one guy, even if he gets this EMP up. I mean, good to have it charged, sure, but they don't get to use it. That's a really quick
He shouldn't
cap.
use it, and he shouldn't
definitely
use it because
shouldn't.
if he did, that would have been wasted. Does nothing, not going to allow you to win the fight, and also is going to prevent you from getting a potential first fight win. That is not the right jump. It's going to prevent you from getting a first fight win going to the second.
Now they've actually got it available to stop the snowball. That's why it was good that he did actually get it up before going down, because when the team was basically wiped, he only had about 70%, managed to get that last little bit. And part of that was getting Jinkao out of the mech, but yeah, they have an opportunity here to stop the snowball before it starts, which is very important.
I'm going to need a little bit of time to set up here, but this is now second or maybe even third time we've seen Hong Kong Attitude just get a super fast cap out on that first cap. And when you're playing a Sombra defense especially, that's really dangerous because it is just the weakest part that you're really losing out on.
Oh, K4 misses the jump. Unfortunately, he has to go into full retreat. Yeah, 3 in a row. That's not good odds. But in any case, RQT's already picked off, and actually, they're getting the real damage down onto ATAR. Gunbear already out of the picture. ATAR in full retreat, but Trill gets picked off instead. Hong Kong Attitude, they're looking to get a third out of this already. This is a good start for them. And Blake, they're actually waiting to come back in and re-engage, which means Hong Kong Attitude might be able to get a second third. Now, K4 commits his visor. That is the second third secured, and they're absolutely destroying Blank. What?
Wow. Okay, cool. So Blank never play Volskaya again.
Blank just need to not play Assault.
Like I said, I mean this. Can we ban Assault? Dear Jeff, we are not.
What? Oh, right, that
feeling
Jeff.
good.
I thought we were talking about Jeff Shimada. I'm like, why would you write to the Shimada brothers about this?
Jeff Kaplan, dude, come on.
This has become the worst running joke between us now that there's a third Shimada brother called Jeff.
Well, look, Jeff Shimada or Jeff Chaplin, they're not going to ban Assault. Chaplin. Shamaplin. Neither Jeff, no Jeff in the world is going to ban Assault anymore, right?
Jeff Chaperone.
Blank have to deal with the reality, and the reality is that was some of the fastest two-capping I've seen in a long time.
Wow.
That
Fastest two capper in the West.
Look,
In the
I mean,
east, or in the northeast. I don't know.
Where is Volskaya?
I'm gonna guess Moscow. They're still smiling after that though. Not Eat Up though. He's not too happy.
Yeah, they're like, oh wow, that was embarrassing. Hope the camera's not on us.
Oh no.
Oh no, indeed. Well, look, maybe Blank can do it equally as fast, but look, they've got to take this to time back now. And 5.5 minutes. I mean, Hong Kong Attitude could do that twice. Like we could go to double time back. That's a very real
Isn't that
thing.
what happened
here.
with Machi? This is what happened with the Machi game. Exactly what happened with Machi on Assault. Machi did this exact same thing on Temple of Anubis, so, I mean...
I hate Overwatch. Gee. No, I don't. I
love Overwatch.
I actually love Overwatch so much. Oh, God,
Dear
I have a
Jeff,
problem. Dear Jeff, I love your game.
Love Overwatch.
Please, can you chaperone me to my
Sincerely
Overwatch?
am.
In any case, yeah, but please remove Assault. And add the third
PS
smart
Blank says remove Assault.
Yeah. In any case, Blank on their own, Assault onto Assault now. Oh, Ato gonna have to duck out of that one. Kiki out of the mech, eat you up on this Widowmaker. Needs to get a lot of mileage for it as Trill gets picked off and already the first attack repelled and rebuffed.
No Sombra from Hong Kong Attitude though. They're not that kind of team. And it's certainly working out for them. This is the second time we've seen Eat Up start with this Widowmaker play on attack for Volskaya, and it didn't work out last time, and I don't think it's working out this time either.
No, not so much so far. Jinka needs to get back into this mech. He may just have enough time to do it, but yeah. Oh, he's going to get back in it, actually.
So it's a quick switch up. It's going to be Eat Up playing the Soldier. Likely what Blank are going to do here, set themselves up on one of the high grounds. I think they can go either right, just lodge Hong Kong Attitude, or you can go left and just fight on the opposite side. Either way, you need to sit ATA, or Eat Up, sorry, somewhere really safe and then assault them with your diamond.
Yeah, I'm happy to see you up on Soldier instead of Tracer as well, actually. And I talked about that earlier in the night, but in general, I feel like they can just get more mileage out of it. And it allows them to make these high ground plays. They don't just go for flank
like
and
that.
dive, but he just walked well off the high ground, took a dive, an unforced dive, actually. There was no movement displacement there. And Blank have nothing to go on with this fight. They're lacking the biggest amount of DPS. Trill's going to commit to an ult anyway because he did kill Mango Jai. He feels like he's got a good reason to do this, but it's not working. He gets taken out, feels a ton of ultimate charge. This is looking really sloppy from Blank.
It is, and if your goal was to keep Eat Up alive and just sit him somewhere nice and plant his 2 feet down, well, I mean, he took a dive straight into the icy waters of Volskaya.
Yeah, he's like, wait a minute, this isn't ice, this is water. I can't plant my feet here.
Yeah, not the place you just sink, so just like Blank's current scoreline in Volskaya and their time as well. Even if they get the full cap out now, it's not even going to be anywhere near the amount of time Hong Kong Attitude got.
No, not at all. I mean, like I said, they'd have to force double time back. Started off better, though, this time around with getting Jin Kao out of the picture. They do have to back off as that nano boost comes out, but they've weathered that storm, looking to re-engage now. See what they can find going up into this high ground. Trill really hunting for K4, so it's Atar. No one's found him just yet. They're looking to get Mango, but he's already backed away from them. Finally closes out and gets CQB as well. K4 trying to answer back, but he does get dealt with. Good response by Kiki, and Atar moving in to clean that one up means that at last Blank will get the successful push through and the cap. They do need to try and get a snowball here, but they don't really have the ultimates to do it.
Yeah, they don't, because they did have to spend ultimates to actually cap this first point anyway. Hong Kong Attitude have a little bit saved up here, which is going to definitely work to their favor. Mango Jai now picking up that Sombra. So look, Hong Kong Attitude, they don't like to play the Sombra in the first cap. They do like to play it on the second cap. Good news is, unlike what Blank had prepared, there isn't just going to be an instant EMP for Hong Kong Attitude on the defense to start things off.
Yeah, Blank do have themselves a tactical visor to try and leverage here, along with Kiki's self-destruct, which he may actually be forced to throw out here now. Atar trying to get K4 up onto this high ground, might actually be able to get it. So self-destruct now out from the defense. Jin Kao gets RQT with it, but they trade back onto Shaolin. Mango Jai's got plenty of time here to charge up his ultimate, and that is going to come into effect in this fight in a moment. A third captured for Blank, though, is nice. And yeah, attack visor out of I Eat You Up. Doesn't get anything for it. He was too low when he opened it up, and Trill's committed an ultimate as well. Blank kind of use up all their resources and only get a third.
Oh, Trill gets the consolation prize, but it's not going to be the cap, which is what Blank really want. I don't know, man.
It's not even a can of beans.
I don't know about that either.
It's a can opener, or it's a can with no can opener. It's a consolation prize.
Speaking of
cancellation prize.
Speaking of can opener, about 2% away, Atar is going to hit that Dragon Blade. I don't know if it's going to be enough because Hong Kong Attitude, it all depends on what their mileage is out of the EMP. That's the key here. The EMP has to do a lot of work for Hong Kong Attitude. Like, that's just to start things off. The real work comes out of getting the kills while the enemy is EMP.
They haven't really found the place for it. Gunba actually opens out with the Transcendence. They haven't committed this EMP at all, actually. And now they finally go when the only ultimates that Blank had have already been used. They don't actually find much out of ATAR. Now K4 opening up with his tactical visor. Trying to find something, did get ATAR, but that might not be enough. Blank could play for a second, third here if they so choose. Should be able to do so with Jin Kao out of the mech. They need to close out on a Ting, but I wouldn't be surprised if he ults to stall for time to stop this second, third from coming out for Blank. And he's actually forcing them back. Kiki has to back away or lose this mech. And actually a well-timed hack comes out of Mango to kind of stop Eat-You Up from having an easy retreat. Finally able to blink around. And they do punish a Ting for the overextension, but they didn't get what they wanted, which was that third.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, Primal Rage being one of the key defensive ultimates here, you just see how effective it is. Now we're going to look to see if we can get another EMP up, which is in terms of rotation, the next ultimate Hong Kong Attitude need to be able to get in here, as well as potentially a sound barrier to keep them alive during that. And getting the kills here will buy them that extra fight, and will also just continue to bleed down the clock. And look, if Blank is still wanting to play for time bank here, they're really going to struggle.
Yeah, I mean, you're starting to lose the opportunity to have that second time back kind of thing. Once you slip below, really below 4 minutes, 2 minutes you could do it if you just, like if you blitz the enemy team, if you double cap
But they're not even blitzing now.
Yeah, they're not blitzing now. You think they'll do it in the first time banks to take it to a second one? No such luck. Again, they're going to be fighting into the EMP now. Ooh, good eat there onto that, onto EU-Up's pulse bomb. Trying to put the pressure down.
K4 low, that was really risky.
Yeah, very low, but Edu-Up is out of the picture altogether. There's the EMP out, so the Blank can't really commit much more to this fight. They do get Jin Kao out of the mech, but he's just no fear, man. Just stands there with the pistol and starts shooting at Kiki, who has to go into full retreat. And once again, Hong Kong Attitude have held with what feels like very little use. This is a very aggressive move by them, actually going for the full route to bleed down the clock, stagger out Blank's respawns.
Well, that's the thing. Right now, you'll take any win you can get for Hong Kong Attitude, because bleeding out the time is the most important thing. Even if Blank cap out, I think you feel safe as Hong Kong Attitude. And even K4 now, I don't know about this, but May this doesn't have really the damage output. I think they're getting ready to delay before they even force to delay, which could be a mistake.
It could be, but I mean, like we said, this isn't really going to go to second time bank anymore. That's a really early sound barrier out from Blank, actually, and very broadcasted fight there, telegraphed, as it were. So let's see how they commit to the rest of this, because Eat-You-Up's already out of the picture. Kiki does get one back with that self-destruct, but that's not really enough because ATAR and RQT out of the picture. Gunba grenades himself to try and buy time, not going to happen. They do just need a dive or wipe here, maybe take a dive and maybe come back for a final fight, but that is what it will be at that point, a final fight.
Yep, go for a swim. That's exactly what Kiki's going to need to do as well. Doesn't even be, not even allowed to go for a swim.
Yeah, very cold swim.
Eat-Up goes for a Widow here. Even the Mercy, Mercy I like. The Mercy's good here.
Do they have time to leverage the Widow?
Well, they'll maybe have time to leverage the Mercy, which they're going to need to really build. They have to start a fight ASAP, get in there, maybe potentially build up a res, which is going to be a very difficult ask, but if he can stay alive, it's all possible. And they're going to need it for overtime.
I think they're looking to damage boost Edu-Up and maybe kill the Mei with body shots. I'm not even sure if the math on that works out, but in any case, they've clearly got a strategy, but this is very last ditch from Blank. This almost feels, dare I say it, a little desperate as they come in for the final fight. That's two, actually. ATAR opening up with the tactical visor. Goes down, though, to the self-destruct, as does Kiki's mech, and RQT out means no tempo res. Not in any kind of time for them. Edu-Up, he's got a tall order ahead of him, and they're struggling to close this one out. They get Jin Kao's mech, but they need to get the rest. They need to get all of these members, in fact, and they aren't quite killing them. The defender's advantage will start to rack up because Edu-Up can't actually get on this point and really contest it hard. They haven't even got the second, third, and now the respawn advantage comes through. K4 still sat on this point, has a Blizzard available
that's
now.
over.
Yeah, this is done.
Blizzard means it's GG.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, Blank, even if they trickle on, it's done. Wow.
They get it done. This is an improvement for Hong Kong Attitude.
Jeff Capo, please remove assault.
We've gone from 3-0 to now 2-1. I don't want to say, well, reverse sweep just yet, because, you know, we got to get there to get there.
We felt that this was a one that not just Hong Kong Attitude, but conceivably any team could take off Blank.
You're most favored to here. This is where now the 4 other teams that are anywhere near the top which includes Marchi and Honka as we have taken it.
Well, that was play of the game, even though they lost it. That was pretty intense. Okay, the thing I really want to pick on here isn't that it was a decent hold out of Hong Kong Attitude, because it was. The thing I really want to pick on was it was a terrible defense by Blank and a fantastic one by Hong Kong Attitude. They nearly actually got it over the line there at the end, Blank, and oftentimes that is good enough on Assault, because that second cap is quite a hard one. But dude, that was a blowout in favor of Hong Kong Attitude. If it hadn't been for the fact that they got it through with like 5.5 minutes, even if they got it through with 1 minute where Blank didn't, I would go, oh, that was kind of close. But it wasn't close. Hong Kong Attitude destroyed them.
And this is a vast, like, incredibly, just the total opposite of the side of what we saw from Marchi as well, which was Blank, yeah, they got blitzed when they were defending, but they also blitzed Marchi when they were defending. So when we look at this though, not the case. This was being fully held out, not on the first cap, which is, that's okay. But on the second cap, I mean, that was always going to be hard, but Hong Kong Attitude got it done.
I almost don't even know what to think, because Hybrid went to Time Bank. We're going to Escort. It's not exactly Hybrid, but it's close enough. Look, maybe that does go to Time Bank. Maybe Hong Kong Attitude can win this. I don't even know what to think anymore.
Well, Hong Kong Attitude have first held Gibraltar on this before, so not
if
impossible.
Blank gets reverse swept here, like, they're done.
That's extreme.
Okay.
It is a little extreme, but like, I mean, I touched it before, right? In the second round robin, when they actually started losing games, I feel like they haven't fixed the problems that caused that. They then suffered those same losses in this most recent round robin, in these last 2 days, in fact. If they were to then lose, or in these last 2 weeks, I should say, if they are then now to lose to Hong Kong Attitude, who aren't even the 4th place team.
I mean, this would
Man,
be like Flash Wolves losing to Marchi in the second round.
Exactly. Like, what does that say about your chances against Marchi, who are actually knocking on that door? And then you've still got to survive another round robin, having failed to fix your mistakes between the second and third round robins.
Like, and this win is important for Blank because trying to stay in the top 3 right now, they got a decent lead, but if they want to keep a decent lead, every win that's not against AHQ or Flash Wolves does matter.
Yeah, exactly. And even then, we said it before, even if they get all of those wins, they still won't have beaten those other 2 teams in the top 3 and will have that hanging over their heads as they go into playoffs. Anything less than that is disastrous.
In Blank's current position, sitting at 3rd, which is only slightly below Flash Wolves and AHQ, right? The result from this best of 5 series so far, it's not even finished yet, but it's not a good sign. Kings Row was close, and now they've actually lost on Volskaya, and in very convincing fashion too. They got pretty demolished, and that is now, I mean, you're talking about Marchi catching up to them. That's also now a threat as well. So you're now worried that you can't beat the 2 teams above you because your performance against this 5th place team is really not looking great.
And maybe you can't beat the 2 that are immediately below you, right? And theoretically, that would say, in terms of the current power rankings, you're in 6th place. Or 5th place.
That's a jump.
That's a terrifying jump. That's not a jump. That's a drop.
At the same time,
that's a dizzying fall.
It would have to be a consistent thing though, because when Flash Wolves lost to Marchi, you didn't immediately put them in 6th. That's just not the case.
Certainly not. But also, I will speak in fairness to Flash Wolves. They then recovered. Right? They lost to Marchi, and then they beat Marchi the next time they met. And then actually, they've more recently beaten Blank and AHQ both. Blank haven't had the same trajectory, right? It wasn't like, oh, they lost to Flash Wolves, and then you're suddenly like, all right, they're not the top team anymore. It wasn't like that, right? But then when they lost to AHQ, and then when they lost to them a second time, and now to Flash Wolves a second time, that is when you do just start to say, yeah, look, they are just the 3rd place team. It's not that, they lost it and they can bring it back. There's a question there. They are 3rd place, no questions asked, and now it's how much lower than that may they be?
Well, we're going to get our answer in Dorado. Well, at least the next piece of our answer in Dorado.
Next piece.
Which was a really, I still want to say is one of Blank's better escort maps that they've had pretty decent success on. I half expected Gibraltar to come out just based on history, but also
Gibraltar was where Hong Kong Attitude beat them.
That would have been predictable also by them, so maybe this is debatably the right move.
It would have been predictable, but I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not so certain that Blank would have specifically practiced Watchpoint Gibraltar so that they can not lose it against Hong Kong Attitude. Like, that's one map against one team if they beat you on another one. Like, I don't know if you would practice that specifically, so maybe Hong Kong Attitude should still have taken it to Watchpoint Gibraltar.
It might have been slightly low on their priority list, but it's definitely still in their practice schedule, right? I mean, you can't just assume you're going to only go to 3 matches, right? You know, for best or worst case scenario, eventually Escort's going to come up. You've got to practice these maps, and when your next match up against Hong Kong Attitude's coming up, you've got to be ready for the scenario that we're in right now, where they do take at least 1 map out of the first 3 that we see. If you're going to Escort, you've got to be ready for Gibraltar, but luckily for Blank, I think they are ready for Dorado because, like you said, I mean...
I think they're more ready for Dorado. Yeah,
that's really good track record.
That's the thing. I mean, maybe there are reasons Hong Kong Attitude wouldn't want to pick Watchpoint Gibraltar because, or maybe they feel Blank are prepared for it, etc., etc. But, I mean, surely Blank are, generally speaking, more favored on Dorado anyway, like practice on Watchpoint Gibraltar aside.
Which is why it is a bit of a strange pick.
But maybe it's the Hong Kong Attitude have prepped it.
I was going to say Hong Kong Attitude don't just pick this randomly. Obviously, also full well knowing that it is one of Blank's still favored picks. You're coming into this with some preparation of your own. You're coming into this with knowledge of where your level is also. So for Hong Kong Attitude, this is not a mistake. Or it may be, but we'll find out.
Yeah, well, we will find out. That's got to be it, though. I feel like you're pretty close to right, if not exactly right. We'll see how this one goes, because this could be, like you said, the beginning of a reverse sweep, or at the very least, a repeat of the first time these two teams met, where Hong Kong Attitude picked up maps 3 and 4, and it was on Blank to turn it around in the very last game. Or maybe Blank do just close it out now, put this one to bed.
Blank also typically defend quite aggressively here in the first checkpoints, in the first, I guess, street area. So it's interesting they're not opting for that just yet.
K4 trying to get onto the high ground. Not going to scare Blank away from it, to be
maybe
sure.
they will.
Yeah, actually, never mind. Blank are going to wheel around.
Blank like,
oh, slow ground instead. Oh, God, a Genji. Spooky.
Spooky Genji on a
Genji.
very spooky map.
Yeah, it's nighttime. It's dark. They actually mistook him for a ghost. Anyway, they're not quite finding anything just yet, but they are forcing Blank back, getting some good payload distance. That's a good way to start it off.
Archway, actually.
Yeah, they do need to secure kills, but they're charging up a lot of ultimates here, especially on K4, which could be the one that kind of busts it open for them. We talk about can openers.
Oh, there's a big can, and it's called Blank, and they're backing up. Look how far they're going. I mean, giving up a lot of positioning. If Trill dies here, or if Trill gets forced out,
yeah,
that is
Trill.
Blank's lineup. I've said this already, but it's a very important thing to consider.
Trill precision German cangineering. In any case, there it is. The can opener out, looking to get ATAR off the top of it. Does indeed get it. Trying to get a little bit more. Hasn't really found much for it, but the rest of the team dealt with Trill while that was happening, and Gunba was too busy dealing with K4 on the backside. Eat You Up now goes down. And honestly, Hong Kong Attitude looking in very good shape here. Jin counters if a self-destruct he may want to commit, but he doesn't need to, I don't feel. They should be able to just secure Kiki here. And if I'm not mistaken, that leaves only Trill, or maybe he's already dead. It's hard to say because everyone's died once or twice for Blank, and this is a cap indeed.
The problem for Blank is, what is their composition trying to do? They're playing a very defensive composition, shield-based Reinhardt. You want to be able to hold someone in a choke where you can sort of flourish. Hong Kong Attitude got a dive composition, really flexible, high mobility DPSs. They are going to flourish in a more open space and not so much in a closed space. So as soon as Blank pulled all the way back, you see how far Troll had to back up there? That's when Blank lost control of that point. That's when Hong Kong Attitude were in their element, and K4 and Shaolin, they were just let loose.
Well, in any case, that's going to be the Graviton out for Blank. Trill is nearly dead already, though, and there it is. I mean, that's a trade. Trill for CQB, you'll take it, and then you kill ATAR as well, and suddenly your Hong Kong Attitude in the driver's seat once again, with the payload still moving. Double kill out for Shaolin. Fantastic for him, and just absolutely route out Kiki. They're going to get even more distance off this, deny a lot of that high ground potential from Blank, and Hong Kong Attitude look nigh unstoppable.
Blank is still changing up lineups. Gumba now the latest one. He's going to make the change onto Zenyatta as well. So it's going to be Blank's version of Dive versus Hong Kong Attitude's version of Dive. Unfortunately, Hong Kong Attitude, they got the momentum behind them. They got the win behind the sails and the ultimates to back him up as well. Blank, they're just sitting pretty on fresh characters and no ults.
Yeah, they're also past that last opportunity to take high ground. It's already K4, open and cans left, right and center. And all they need is,
should not have been committed, that tag visor.
No, that was a very awkwardly done one. But in any case, what's done is done, and EQ Up actually looking to try and one-man army this one. Trill here as well committing the ultimate. They do actually lose EQ Up. This might actually buy time for ADA to come in, and Hong Kong Attitude kind of abandoned the fort here. I don't know that they necessarily needed to. Shaolin wants to keep this one alive, and he does pick a couple. Trill with the ultimate run out will have to back off. It's not a clean cap, but the payload's still underway.
It is actually. Now, Blank have somewhat regained control. They've somewhat stabilized, even though the fight is continuing, in a position where I didn't expect them to. Even getting the last kill CQB, Hong Kong Attitude at some point have to consider whether this is a fight they want to continue playing.
10 committed, the ultimate is nearly dead again. And they're actually really low on health bars. I mean, they're a hair's breadth away from just getting completely team wiped here, so Hong Kong Attitude smartly back off. Need to be careful not to lose anyone on the retreat. And by the way, their tactical visor seems to have been committed because K4 swapped onto Genji. Does make it make a little bit more sense, but yeah, Blank find a hold in a pretty... But in any case, Blank find a hold in a pretty unexpected place, purely because I feel Hong Kong Attitude kind of mispositioned on the back end of that fight after getting good opening kills.
Well, Blank also, they got better trades while the reinforcements came in. Also, due to the nature of the cart, is their reinforcement sort of run back distance favors Blank ever so slightly versus Hong Kong Attitude, who have to come all the way from the first cap. So eventually it just started to work in Blank's favor, mostly because Hong Kong Attitude couldn't secure the kills despite the fact they were so far ahead in ultimates.
Still plenty of time to make this one happen. K4 nearly with this Dragon Blade available, goes ahead and commits it right into Gunba's Transcendence, but it's going to run out any minute now, and there's still the Sound Barrier available for CQB even as both the Transcendences are gone. Trades back and forth though, it's pretty inconclusive so far. They're trying to get the payload underway, ATAR opening up with the Tactical Visor. That's going to queue out the Sound Barrier for CQB. Hong Kong Attitude still looking okay in this fight, but they do need to secure some kills. Getting ATAR is a good way to go on that one. Jinkao trying to keep this flank sort of held down, and then Kiki moving over to the payload. Once again, Hong Kong Attitude seem to have abandoned the payload here. They're not really fighting for the objective.
They're not really confident in a lot of these fights. They're leaving now. I don't want to say early, but while it was still 50-50, a really neutral fight, they're just saying we're not in a good place to try and win this. Trying to look for an early pick out here, but even though they're shutting down players like ATAR when they attack visoring, they're not sort of winning the fight around the payload, which is, I think, something you highlighted.
Yeah. Second time it's happened, so it starts to become a habit, I suppose, and it's a bad one for Hong Kong Attitude. Now they're going to have to try and get this underway again and still win a fight conclusively. Not exactly the easiest of asks. Trying to catch someone in a bind here, looking for EU up on this backside here. Actually may have got it. There we go. That could be the opening they need.
They got to make use of this time. It's like less than 10 seconds, plus it's Tracer, who's just going to reinforce extremely quickly. Also has a pulse bomb, so you got to go for Hong Kong Attitude.
They're trying to force Blank away from this one. ATAR going down is very nicely done there, and the respawn will come in for EDU up, but he's still a little away from this one, but never mind. Trill, team on the back, Smasher good ults. Doesn't even need to use the ults for that one, and they just completely destroyed Hong Kong Attitude, who had a ton of tools. They had a Transcendence that they could have used. I feel like that was just given away by Hong Kong Attitude. They're going to lose the opportunity to contest this. And Blank, it's not ideal. It's not where we expected, but they do find a spot to hold. Actually, they're going to get a last-ditch attempt to touch this payload out of Jinkao. It does buy them something, and now Shailin is going to try and keep it alive, but I feel like this is a pretty much foregone conclusion.
Yeah, it pretty much is. Well, a team's going to be able to still stall out for some time. It's not totally over, but Hong Kong Attitude got to get some trades. So they're
not actually getting kills.
They got RQT. It's a start, but they need a little bit more. They got a second one.
They need to kill ATAR. Oh, hold on a second though. They've killed ATAR now, and it's just AEU up who's really trying to keep this payload contested. But it's not as easy as it was a moment ago. Never mind. Shaolin didn't quite get in time, and they do actually complete the hole. Looked a little bit ropey for a second. Hong Kong Attitude really did stretch that one as far as it could possibly go at the very end there. But
they left the cart. Like what? Like I don't understand. They had
Shailin
the control.
Was like, oh, never mind.
They had the control. They were starting to get the better trades towards the end. They picked out both supports on Blank side, denied all healing, and it was just about cleaning up the rest of the members. But you can't forget to touch the card. I think Hong Kong Attitude's lack of playing the objective really hurt them there, not just in the last fight, but overall in the Streets phase.
That being said, though, it's not over till it's over, because last time these two teams met on Escort specifically, we saw exactly this. And we sort of went, oh, Hong Kong Attitude didn't really get it far enough. They didn't get it to the end. I don't know if that's going to be good enough. And then they held Blank way further forward than what Blank did to them. And normally we see Blank hold before that first point on Dorado. Didn't happen this time around. They did find an opportunity to hold. I feel like it's because Hong Kong Attitude kind of threw away a couple of fights, backed off maybe earlier than they needed to. But in any case, what's done is done. And history would actually suggest Hong Kong Attitude can maybe get an early hold on this one and still win this map.
Well, history between the two teams also does suggest that Blank just won 3-0. That's already, we're past that. We're past that. But at the same time, I don't know. We speak about Hong Kong Attitude winning Escort, getting that first cap hold. That was Gibraltar. This is Dorado. And I think Blank is still favored on Dorado based on track record.
This is a whole different can of beans here. These are refried beans.
Oh, I was going to say, like, what are the different kind of beans?
There's a lot of different kind of beans. Got like black beans, green beans, butter beans, broad beans. I don't know what kind of bean a baked bean is though, because it's not just called a baked bean. That's what's happened to the beans.
Well, I got nothing to say to that. I have really nothing to contribute because
you just don't know. You don't know your beans.
I know Overwatch, but I don't know my beans.
Yeah, well, Blank, they kind of find the streets abandoned here. Hong Kong Attitude, they're still trying to figure out where they're seeking to mount their defense.
So far back.
Very far back, yeah. Not even holding at this first choke point, it feels. Unless they're going to kind of come down and commit to it now, but they've already given Blank a lot of room to maneuver in setting up for this as the kind of rounds that bend. Now, yeah, Hong Kong Attitude get down to start contesting it, but they've already let I82up get in the back line here. They let Kiki kind of set up on the higher part of this ground. This isn't an easy spot to hold at now, and Hong Kong Attitude are maybe going to fall prey to having set up way further back than was all necessary.
Well, and then that's kind of like what Blank did as well. They just backed out really early into a corner. CQB down already. There should be some more kills. The Ting is just out of the fight. This is a cap.
Yeah, couldn't close out on Kiki, Gunba, or Trill, and you look at their health bars there. We'll finally get Kiki there, actually having trained him out of the mech, but the cap came through for Blank anyway, so it doesn't matter. They've now got all the time in the world to get that second cap and beat Hong Kong Attitude here.
I don't really understand what Hong Kong Attitude were trying to achieve because they were so far back, which is, you know, cool. Maybe you're that far back because you want to dive early, which they kind of did. A Ting did, but the damage follow-up was kind of missing there. A Ting had to fall back, just managed to get out with his life on, like, less than 50 HP, and then the rest of Hong Kong Attitude just got routed out. They just completely deserted the cap. When you don't have your tank there, when you got no frontliner, that's it. You're done.
They did that before on the attack, actually, but it was the other way around, right? They sort of deserted the attack when they actually still had something to go off. Haven't really quite set up on this high ground well enough either. It's Jin Kao with minimal support. Shaolin going to commit to the ground game here. Actually catches Trill with that pulse bomb is a nice pickup for them, and they try and follow it up with RQT. So they're making it work as best as they can. Shaolin picking Gunba as well. That's 3 for him and will signal a defense for Hong Kong Attitude.
Even sends Eat Up a message right at the end there, like, just gonna send you out on your way to regroup with your team. But Hong Kong Attitude, this is now a stabilization for them, I guess, and it's a better place technically than when Blank stabilized, which is very far up, pretty much where Hong Kong Attitude's actual cap position is. But it is getting close.
It is indeed. Blank now committing to another dive onto this high ground. Have a good number of ultimates, and yeah, it is actually getting close because Hong Kong Attitude only just now contesting the payload, so got a good bit of distance in there for Blank. Going to flag out the sound barrier here as they go ahead and commit to the fight. ATAR looking deep back into this one to try and find someone. Gunba already out though, and ATAR gets picked off. Good tactical visor there. Unfortunately, K4 goes down immediately afterwards. It's still a little bit dicey where this one's going to go, but I do feel that Hong Kong Attitude are going to continue to hold here.
Yeah, especially with Shaolin picking up all the kills, and this is why he's really being considered one of the...
Trill?
Hi, Trill.
Okay, sure. Well, both Trill and Ting committed their ultimates. I don't know that either was necessary, but I feel like that hurts Blank more. Actually, no, Blank have plenty of other ultimates. Never mind. It hurts Hong Kong.
But it kind of still hurts them because it's not ideal. If you want to min-max here, you're definitely not getting...
Yeah, ideally neither should have used the ultimate.
So Hong Kong Attitude, again, stabilization. Now, the cart has moved up somewhat. This is a nice cheeky little push that has to be dealt with.
Yeah, well, they're going to go ahead and try and commit once again. And one of the ultimates already going wide. Mango throwing out his nano boost. They're not really finding much for it though.
Oh,
wow. What a self-destruct was that, and that could be all that they need to push this one through. Jinkao doesn't actually have his own self-destruct just yet for any crazy plays. Not quite going to get it in time. No, and then he's out of the mech. Yeah, that is actually fight secured and probably point secured as well. The payload going to go on through, knowing that it can test it, and Blank close it out. It's not going to be a reverse sweep, not even going to go to a game 5. History doesn't repeat itself in any way, shape, or form here. That looks a little scary for Blank for a moment, though.
Blank want the full spectrum of how you can win. You want to win 3-2. They want a 3-0. They want to say, hey, we got to get a 3-1 as well on the board because now we've won on all the different types of ways you can against Hong Kong Attitude. Yeah. This is what I want to see because here is the game winner. This is the play that we didn't see, and this on its own, assuming it's the triple kill self-destruct.
Where did they fail to retreat to, I suppose I should say. Oh, wow.
Cheeky.
Yeah, no, that's actually really well placed because it's hard to get into the cover from that point to sort of get indoors. And even when you do, actually, because of the angle of that particular door, the mech, judging by that, where it is, it's hard to actually still get out of the line of sight of it. There are very few places left to retreat there. You can't kind of tuck into the underneath part of the stairwell. Once you're down there, you have to run up the stairs before you can get to the door, and you rarely have time to actually do that. That was really well placed, to be frank.
It was, and the impact of it was even more important because it prevented anybody from contesting the cart just as it was about to finish the final stretch at the finish line for Blank. So, a game-winning play once again.
Well, Blank have recovered, I suppose, but it doesn't feel good, doesn't look great. Is this a team on the cusp of just being completely dismantled now?
Well, they still beat Hong Kong Attitude. Let's just really look at that. They get their one win.
Okay. They just beat the 5th place team. Congrats.
I mean, you can say they're recovered in terms of, okay, they just lost the Flash Wolves, so they can pick up a win now. But yeah, they beat the 5th place team. So, you know, kind of an expected result. But also, look at the last time they matched up against each other, 3-0. Now it's a 3-1. And those 2 of those matches that Blank won were actually pretty close. So really, if anything, they've not improved and actually gone a bit downwards against Hong Kong Attitude. Hong Kong Attitude may have stepped things up as well.
That would arguably be the read there, yeah. And kind of said it earlier in the night. I mean, the one thing that is for certain now is Blank are the 3rd place team of these top 3. They're the weakest of the top 3 teams, I suppose.
I actually want to say, for Hong Kong Attitude's perspective, if you're not beating Blank on arguably their worst night, which is right now,
yeah,
I don't know if Hong Kong Attitude can just beat Blank.
You probably can't take a top 3 spot yourself, you're right. But we were already starting to suspect that anyway out of Hong Kong Attitude. Let's be completely honest with that one. The question now is going to be, could Machi maybe push it?
After tonight, I think Machi have a real shot at it. I mean, remember Temple of Anubis against Blank, where they blitzed through as well? I mean, yeah, okay, they didn't defend too well because Blank blitzed through them as well, but in the end, it was Machi that came out on top on Assault. So they have taken a map off Blank before, and this was Blank in round robin 2, where they weren't their strongest, but they were still looking better than they were tonight. So I think Machi, who have been a team who have been improving, we just have to hope that they have improved just as much from round robin 2 to round robin 3.
Yeah, you'd certainly hope so. They haven't really had enough games yet for us to really say much about that. It's very inconclusive. They have really a lot of their hard matches ahead of them. Who have they even played so far in this round robin?
Who?
Machi?
Machi.
They played Flash Wolves.
They lost to Flash Wolves,
yeah. And I mean, this is Flash Wolves who are currently looking like arguably the strongest of these teams. So even that, I don't feel says too much about them. So yeah, that's going to be a real. I mean, the fact that there is even a question about this, about hey, can Machi actually beat Blank Hole? Maybe yes. The fact that we are having this discussion is pretty scary territory.
Can you imagine asking that, knowing that we would ask this question after the results of the first round robin? Exactly. Where Blank was undefeated at the top, Machi was 6th place, and now they're knocking on the door of Blank saying, hey, can we get into the top 3?
Even in the second round robin, right, up until the point where they finally lost against Flash Wolves in what was actually a 5-game series, I still don't think we would have actually asked this question and had the kind of conversation we're having now. That really says a lot about what has happened to this team, because it hasn't been too much to do with the other teams. I mean, sure, they've all just kind of improved and caught up to them, but Blank haven't done anything to push themselves further to get back ahead of the curve.
3-2 versus AHQ, sorry.
You're quite right. You're quite right. It wasn't Flash Wolves. It was AHQ. You're correct. But at any rate, yeah, the teams caught up to them. Teams figured them out. Blank did not get themselves back ahead of the curve. They did not get back in front of the 8 ball. And now we're starting to question whether they ever will and how many teams will catch up to them. It's not can teams catch up, it's how many.
And right now, the next bet is looking like Marchi because Hong Kong Attitude, while they put up a pretty good fight, and I feel like some of those maps could have actually gone the other way. Ilios, not so much, but all the other maps looking pretty good for Hong Kong Attitude. So is Hong Kong Attitude a team that might catch up eventually in the next round robin?
I don't think they have realistically. When I look at their team and I look at the holes and the weaknesses, their team's starting to become a real problem there. Even K4, when you really compare K4 to guys like Zonda and Dizzy, K4's like a mini Zonda right now. Same hero pool, similar playstyle, except Zonda is very confident in his ability. He also performs consistently. K4 is kind of like hero, and their player of the game, by the way, is Trill.
Yeah, and they're also actually not unlocking Zonda in the same way. But let's touch on that player of the game. I'm going to call this controversial. This is Trill, who, I mean, this is this game in particular, but before that, against Flash Wolves, died at the start of basically every fight, and even did that many times throughout this. I think that's a very interesting pick for play of the game.
I would actually have gone for, this is real standard to me, but Eat Up, just nothing flashy, just pure consistent performance.
The most consistent throughout the entire night, actually.
Yeah, just, he never had a moment where it was just like, man, Eat Up is underperforming severely. It just didn't happen.
Whereas by comparison, you touched on Atar's Dragon Blades were very feast or famine, and Kiki was
Genji in general.
Like if Kiki was sometimes having great moments, sometimes just feeling a little bit lost, a little bit out of position. I feel like actually it was hard to pick a man of the match, regardless, given that you had to pick it from the winning team, because I don't know that at any point this was a super convincing win, even though it did come through in the end.
But I mean, hey, look, back to Trill, right? In a similar way to Eat Up, I feel like there wasn't a moment in this series where he felt like it was super underperforming. He usually managed to do his job, and I think the things that stood out, actually, where a lot of his primal rages were quite effective, not just at stalling the point, but also going around and disrupting the enemy team, which is usually what Winston's ult is actually really designed for.
That is actually completely...
Tactical visors got thrown around. That was a big one.
Except the moments where Trill was like, popped it, I'm just going to leave now. Which of there were a few.
Yeah.
And pops it, wait a minute, where's my team? Like, sometimes you can use it to stall for time, but like, that shouldn't be the only reason you use it. And I mean, sure, maybe you sometimes stall for time, but it's like, if you've got like 3 minutes on the clock and you're stalling for time, then your team's just going to arrive in a 5v6 because now you've died, you've stalled to get them there, and they're still going to lose that fight. And actually, you just lose more time overall. You do it when you are facing overtime.
Still though, I think Trill's play was clearly better this series than against Flash.
Well, I think everyone's play.
Everyone was.
You do actually, you do speak quite validly.
But I think the primal rages are like what really tipped it a bit over the edge for the MVP decision.
Yeah, well, cool. Blank, a lot of questions. Not going to answer them in any hurry. You know, they've got a lot of games ahead of them. You can see the rundown of the night there, and we are actually going to be able to go ahead and jump into a quick interview with Blank as well. No translation required.
Hello everyone.
Except my Serenity.
非常简短打招呼，那我马上就来聊一下大家对于 Blank 最近的评价。我最近比较听到的比较多，其实我觉得也算是夸奖啦，就是他们认为 Blank 的单兵实力是比较强的，胜过于团队能力。
After watching us play for the past couple of weeks, some people said that our individual mechanics are better than our overall teamwork. What do you think about that?
Honestly, I completely agree with that. Like, our teamwork recently has been really, really bad. Like, you can see it when we watch over our VODs, it looks really, really bad. I think it's more the fact because we came to this tournament playing like one comp, and then we switched up to playing 3 DPS because that's what we wanted to run. And then, like, it didn't go so well. People were, like, complaining and whatnot. Like, we didn't feel comfortable on 3 tank. And then we switched to another comp that we have to run constantly again. It was like really annoying on me because I was like, I really have to learn like D.Va and Genji, and then like I have to switch again. So now I feel like really bad at Ryan and Winston. So yeah.
他认为没错，就是当我们单兵实力是比较厉害，但是 最近就是配合上面就出了很多的问题。我们一开始的时候是就上一个 meta 就是玩3坦阵，然后到这边之后，现在 meta 改，我们现在就是主要为刺客阵为222，但是因为看了一些比赛，然后觉得说3个输出也适合我们，所以我们也尝试一阵子，最后发现好像也不是非常适合，所以现在又转回222的刺客阵。他也认为说，当时他原本是玩原本是玩主坦，然后现在又被改成刺客，然后现在又改成Diva， 然后又被改成温斯顿，他这样子有点训练上的问题。
也是啊，现在每个队伍在面临的就是所谓的要调整阵容跟自己的位置和责任的问题嘛。但我觉得他的星星其实进场是非常的果断的。那我想问一下，他在面对像露西欧这样抓后，就是他要去抓露西欧抓后排的时候，露西欧右键其实是很克制星星的。那他是怎么判断他的进场时机
？They think that you find a really good opportunity to dive your targets, but sometimes when you like dive into Lucio, like how do you avoid getting booped by Lucio?
I think you can't really avoid it. Like you sort of just hope that he's not there, but like if he's there, you sort of just gotta go. Like either you see him use his boop, but you pretty much end up going regardless. Like you can't really do much about it.
就是他就算找到好时机，然后知道他会被路修的右键给逼退，但是他也还是没办法，因为如果需要找到时机要进攻的话，他还是需要进去。
好的，再来是在国王大道这张图中，他们最后是打到了延长赛嘛？那其实当时大家都非常的紧张，因为其实是很纠结的。那我注意到对方的闪光是直接要去抓掉 Blank 的钢把，那我感觉确有的星星他有在考虑要不要去救钢把，可是他最后还是选择了手车。那他当时的判断是
？During King's Row overtime, there was a part where you were on the cart while Gumbo was getting shot by the Tracer who would be flanked. During that time, you decided not to help Gumbo, but to stay on the cart. What was your thoughts? What did you think about that?
Well, in that situation, Gumbo's probably dead, like regardless. So usually I just want to help the team, and like most of us try to get on the same target, and would rather win that fight than help Gumbo in a 1v1 that he's probably going to die to anyway.
已经有闪光在打钢宝的时候，他是判断说，就算去帮忙的话，他应该也是会死的，所以他选择说站在车上帮助其他队友一起输出，这样子，就算掉了一个人，但是还是可以有机会赢得团战。
那一波其实很替 Blank 担心，因为其实他们在 A 点的时候3个大绝都交掉，然后 HK 那时候刚好又3个大绝都抓好，我就觉得好像有点危险。可是最后确有的星星和Diva 的大绝盾配合，让对面的射手无法输出。这个是因为你们考虑到对面有大绝，你们没大绝，然后想到了战术吗？
So during the second time we played King's Row, after the full cap on both sides, we wasted a few ults on the first point, and they just got their 3 ults, and it seemed like the situation was dicey at that point. But we still came through. But during the last fight, we put both you and Kiki Diva on top of the high ground, blocking the soldier. Was that pre-discussed? Was that our strategy?
Yeah, well, after we used all our ults, we knew we messed up and we used way too many ults. In my head, I thought, well, we're probably going to lose here. We have like no ults and they have everything. And we knew he had the soldier ult, so we were trying to block him for sure, because we knew he was up top left. That's where most soldiers try to go for their ulti. So we just tunneled him really hard and tried to like shut him down, because it was their best win condition. So we just tried to kill him and we ended up winning.
就是我们交太多大招的时候，也意识到说好像浪费了几招，所以就开始有担心说有可能输。之后就是知道说，他们主要的胜利的条件就是靠他们的战术锁定，所以我们也知道说，在第2点最佳的地方的话，就是左上角的高台，所以我们就直接，他就有讨论说，直接把我们2个台送上去，就堵住他这样子。
真的是非常厉害的配合。那时候看到还想说，竟然反败，竟然守住了。那再来就是比较可惜的工业区的部分。那你们是用了害影防守阵，可是你们在守2楼的时候，感觉好像发生了一些状况，所以是非常快的就被攻破了。那可以描述一下当时的状况是怎么样吗
？On Volskaya, when we played Sombra defense on the first point, we're trying to contest the second floor on the high ground where the big makeup was, and things went horribly wrong. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that was a call by me to go up there, and I think it was a mistake. Like, we should just play around the health pack. We don't have much experience playing with Sombra, like as you can tell, so we never play around the health pack.
他是说，当时说要去2楼去竞争2楼的首点的时候，是由他说他要求其他人配合一起上去。 那他就是表示说，我们玩餐饮的时间还不是很长，所以从我们的操作上就看得出来，就是没有主要是绕着那个血包在玩。
没关系，不过现在就是时间还是可以慢慢累积嘛。毕竟今天还是拿到了 MVP， 就是对于自己得到 MVP 有什么感想吗？
What do you think about you getting MVP today?
Obviously, it feels good to get player of the match, but I don't really know why I got it, honestly.
我不太清楚为什么他是今天的 MVP。
他说每次都会想说，不知道为什么好像没做什么事情就得到 MVP 的感觉。那也辛苦教练，也辛苦的 Trill 啦。那接下来呢，我们休息1分钟，等一下会有更深入的沙发区访谈哟。
Alright, so they're going to have a 1-minute break before they go for a couch interview with Blank as well.
Well.
Good for them.
It's actually going to be quite cool because they've lost a lot the last couple of weeks because they've been playing AHQ and
We
Flash
want
and-
answers.
Yeah, no. It's actually going to be kind of nice to be able to catch up with those guys on the couch and actually get a bit more insight to some of the other things going on with the team and maybe even get their thoughts actually on what's been going wrong with their losses to these other major players in this tournament.
Yeah, and find out if they've gone to the night market.
They always do ask
Last
about that night
time
market.
we asked you if you've gone to the night
Now,
market.
have you been
Did
since
you
then?
go?
Actually, no, we just went to Macca's.
I actually know for a fact that I saw some of the photos and stuff that Blank went to Taipei 101, the big tower,
Oh, yeah.
and had some dinner there and stuff quite recently.
But
so
did they
that's
go to the
something that
night market or not? Why didn't they tweet about that? I do want answers now. I do want answers. Well, hey, yeah, in a few short seconds, we'll be jumping over to that couch and cool, man.
赛后沙发访问区，我是访问区的主持人球球。
大家好，我是教练 Serenity。
I'm RQD, the captain of Blank Esports.
哇，就是今天很开心可以邀请到2位，就是 Blank 的队长 RQT 跟 Serenity 这边可以来接受我们的采访哦。那就是首先我就有一个问题，我想要问 RQT 这边哦，就是身为这个 Blank 的队长，就是以这个队长的身份来看的话，你觉得就是平常有什么东西需要注意的吗？或者是有什么东西是跟一个队员比较不一样的地方呢？
He's wondering how being a captain is different from being like just a player on the team.
I guess at the end of the day, there's a lot more pressure on me to. I'm also the in-game leader, and there's a lot of pressure on me to try and make the right calls for the team, like all the time. Keep everyone motivated as well. When obviously it gets a bit down when we lose games, and people start to get a bit upset, but. It's just trying to keep everyone on the same page and just playing together as a team.
他是说，身为队长，他有很多职责，然后其中一个比较难的就是就是比赛中的领队，他需要指挥选手，然后这个就有时候就会有点难，就是他需要指挥大家的战术跟大家的方向。他是表示说，通常的话还是
他讲的有点长，我可以帮你补充一下，就是他还有提到说，不止在游戏的方面，就是包括他这个回到家里面，可能比赛输了，大家心情也是很不好，那他也要尝试就是想办法让大家比较
缓和大家的情绪，然后让确保大家还是那个一个团队，然后有一个一致的目标。
没错，我觉得这个真的是很重要的，就是我以前也是选手嘛，对不对？那我的队长每天都要把我叫起床，因为我都会赖床。
He said that he was a player before, so yeah, he was a player before, and the captain had to literally just wake him up every time.
Yeah, sometimes people are asleep much later than they should be.
有时候真的会是有人赖床。
真的是有这种，那就是接下来问一些比较轻松的问题啦，就是你们来台湾也已经过了7个礼拜了，相当长的这段时间，就是有比较适应台湾的生活了吗？
It's been like 7 weeks since we came here. People adjusting the lifestyle here.
Yeah, we've been adjusted for a while now. People are happy with being in Taiwan. It's a new experience for almost everyone. A lot of people haven't even traveled overseas before, so this was a big shock and change for them. But everyone's fine with it now.
就是已经来了这么久，就是最近也开始渐渐适应了。
最近有开始适应了，那就是
还有就是大部分的选手都没有出过国，所以出国来参加比赛这个也是第一次，所以对大家也算是一个新鲜的经验，
一个很棒的一个经验。那就是我上次采访的时候有问到 ATA 嘛，那他有提到就是说他们来到现在从头到尾都是吃麦当劳，那你们最近有吃到什么比较不一样的食物了吗？
那边有一点误解，就是意思是说刚来的那1-2个礼拜，就是对这边的食物不熟悉，我对这附近哪里有什么他们喜欢 欢吃的东西也不熟悉，
OK，
所以才是那么常吃麦当劳。但是其实现在的话，一个礼拜就1-2次而已，
When
也
you guys
不
came
很
here, you ate a
多。
lot of McDonald's. Serenity says we ate a lot of McDonald's
那你们来到
because
台湾有什么
we didn't know what else to get
觉得
at
比
the time.
较新奇、比较特别，或者有什么你们特别喜欢吃的，或什么活动你们特别喜欢做的吗？
Since coming here, is there any particular food or activity or some place that you particularly like?
In terms of activities, we recently went to Taipei 101, so that was pretty cool. In terms of food, whatever Serenity brings for lunch is usually surprisingly pretty good, even though half the time people let it get cold and they're sleeping in.
他是表示说我们最近一起去参观了101，然后那个就是到那么高的地方，其实因为有一些人也有恐惧症啦，所以说服他们上去也是一个难题。还有就是表示说食物的时候，就是都是我负责食物的状况，所以通常有时候就是会造成说中午买饭回来，结果还有人赖床，就食物就变凉了。
哦，他们就是你好像感觉就像他们的保姆这样，你买什么给他，他们就吃什么这样。
就因为语言上的不通，所以如果要像出去买东西啊、买饭啊、处理日常起居、管理选手，然后还要再担任分析师呢，还要在教练的职责。哇，实在是一天24小时，其实
非常非常累啊。
responsibility.
那想问一下，这个 RQT 怎么来台湾有看到什么漂亮的台湾女孩她喜欢的吗？
Have you noticed any like strikingly beautiful women over here?
Yeah, there's definitely some cute girls. But unfortunately, we have to stay inside and play Overwatch all day.
他是说他有看到很多让他亮眼的女生，但是很遗憾的是，因为我们的工作，所以我们必须每天都待在家里玩斗争特工，
非常努力练习。哇，在家当肥仔 ，QQ。 好了，我们这边还是要跟大家宣导一下，就是我们明天呢是我们 DTN 的主场日，我们现场呢也会有许多的抽奖活动哦，中间呢包括了就是我们有 MSI 的一些赠品，还有 DTN 的特殊滑鼠垫，甚至还有我前面放的这个死神公仔哦。那如果明天对对 DTN 有兴趣，可以来帮 DTN 加油，还可以顺便抽到我们的奖品哦。那我们这边最后一个沙发区也就差不多告一个段落，我们大家给镜头挥挥手来说个拜拜吧，
谢谢大家，
拜拜。
And the last sort of message there was also tomorrow's Detonator's home day, so they got some special things planned for that.
Nice, nice. Well, in any case, that has kind of been that. Puts a lid on the night, and we still don't know if Blank have gone to the night markets or not. So there was this night was frankly a disaster. In any case, AHQ picking up 2 expected, but slightly oddball wins, especially that first one against Detonator Gold. Maybe some more to unpack tomorrow in Detonator Gold's home day, but then went on to pick up a much more convincing win against Sun Sister Blank, suffering a crippling loss against Flash Wolves, and then kind of scraping it past the finish line after that against Hong Kong Attitude. They'll be happy to have the win under their belts, keeps them afloat for now, but a lot of questions around that team now moving forward in this 3rd round robin. And with that, gentlemen, that is going to be that for us tonight. Like they said, tomorrow, Detonator's home day, and they've got some special things planned. I'm excited to see what those are. But for tonight, we are donezo. So thank you very much for tuning in. And from all of us here at the Full Circle production team, thank you for watching. Have a